flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had a chance to review the agenda? Any conflict of interest with the agenda?
I don't believe so.
Okay, we'll continue with the reading of the minutes.
March 10th, 2026, the Board of Supervisors met at 9:00 a.m. with Craig Dozark, Chair presiding. Members present were Schultz, Mulbauer, Dozark, Hayden, and Rosberg. Minutes of the previous meetings was read and approved. On motion, the board recognized claims for the Public Health Department and approved claims for all other departments. The board approved the change of wage for Kyle Sigabart, full-time maintenance employee to engineer's office. At 10:00 a.m., a motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Mulbauer, to open the public hearing for the consideration of resolution 2026-10, officially declaring emergency medical services in Crawford County to be an essential service, third reading. There were no written objections. There was attendees who addressed some concerns. Motion passed unanimously. At 10:16 a.m., a motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Hayden, to close the hearing. Motion was passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Schultz, approved the second reading of resolution 2026-10. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Hayden, to approve the board chair to sign the water impound forms. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Rosberg, to approve the zoning current pay to be stopped. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Rosberg, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the signing of the Schneider Geospatial LLC contract. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the following resolution. 2026-11, Crawford County Compensation Board. Voting aye was Schultz, Mulbauer, Dozark, Hayden, and Rosberg. Motion passed unanimously. A motion was made by Hayden, seconded by Mulbauer, to approve the signing of the 28E agreement for funding between Centers Against Abuse and Sexual Assault, CASA, and Crawford County. Motion passed unanimously. On motion, duly seconded, the board adjourned at 12:05 p.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday at 4:30 p.m. preceding the next meeting.
Any additions or corrections? Stand approved as read. Colin, I know you.
I'll just come back.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Been a while since I did that.
Flip that one over. There you go. Up at the very top.
Oh, okay.
Just a small little line.
Get the little baby guy.
So was this in the packet, this from the noses?
That, I think they'll read, that could be read.
I think that
This
was,
one,
yeah. I think I've seen that last week in there.
because he just got it there in time for you guys were just closing the meeting.
Okay, so I should move it along with the packet. Somehow got it with my paperwork,
Oh,
which is substantial today.
just, everybody did see that. You need to sign the back of that. From the last week, what Ty has in the back, in his hand right now. There was a correction made on the date.
Okay.
Wonder what we have.
Just the correction, instead of February, put March on the second page, so.
Gotcha.
Okay, supervisors reports, Dave, your D comes first in the alphabet, so.
Okay, last week we had our ISAC spring conference, attended. I was out there Wednesday evening. We had an ISAC for supervisors meeting. It was good. The mayor goes there kind of as a, talk to us about some of their projects happening on the line and some of the wind turbine things they're working on. They actually want it on. They're trying to get it passed federally so that all the blinking lights will turn on when planes come in the area.
Oh,
And when they're not there, they're not flashing all the time.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I guess there's FAA hoops and different federal law that has to be jumped through for that. Then after that meeting, I had a meeting with two EMA directors, Doug Reed from Potawatomi, and then AJ Mum. AJ's actually originally from West Side, but he's the Polk County EMA, has been.
Steve Mum's wife, probably, huh?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. He's on the ISAC executive committee with me, and then Lonnie Mayberry and myself, and then Andrea was there. They were talking about, here's one of your issues where we talk about different affiliates registering differently. So there's a bill being proposed that gives supervisors veto power over the EMA budget line item. They're registered against it. And their take on it, or argument, is that we have a commission of mayors and elected people that come up with the budget. We would like that. They agree on a budget and that something could be taken out of it or supervisors. And they said there were 5 ways to levy for EMA.
I have limited impression it's 3, but go ahead.
And of course, the EMA budget gets pulled out of a lot of things out of supplemental.
Yeah, general stuff.
And like Lonnie and I said, you know, it's such a unique situation where they feel like, you know, they have their commission and they come up with a budget and a plan of what they're doing. But it's not their own levy like conference board or hospital or schools, but it still comes out of our budget.
Yep.
He just said, you know, that's supervisors, we have skin in the game of our overall budget. And, you know, we have to be concerned about what's happening, what's that. And that's why supervisors are registered for that. So it's a difference in, you know, different affiliates seeing things from a different point of view. And I don't know where to go. They do want to talk, or they might have a session, joint session down the road. Like
So the mayors, the ones that didn't want us, who's registered against us other than EMA?
The emergency management affiliate, they have their own affiliate, they're registered against it because they're concerned with having their budget just totally wiped out.
I just can't imagine there's a board of supervisors out there to wipe out a budget, but we also got to be responsible. If you're getting monies out of our tax asking, don't you think that's?
But and they understood that. They said, well, we get it. It is under your levies. And
I mean, so we're supposed to cut some of our other departments so that they can have everything they want. I mean, and they have the mayors have no skin in the game, you know?
so I think it might be beneficial down the road. They talked about doing a joint session at like fall conference to just, so EMAs and supervisors can hear each other out and know where they're coming from and know where we're coming from and just kind of maybe have good communication rather than not knowing. But all in all, it was a good meeting. They brought up good points of what they're concerned with and what they're trying to do. Then that evening, we did go to the legislative coffee, or not coffee, legislative reception. Pretty good turnout there. And other legislators came. They got a pool there on different things. And that was good. Gene Myers from Carroll, he did. I just kind of hit up Jason Schultz on some of the property tax changes, and Gene was very concerned with some of our rural small towns. You know, they have a 65 and older type exemption, and they further that, you know, some of those towns that are naturally elderly would have a lot less revenue.
I could see some of these small towns having to decommission themselves and unincorporate.
And that was Gene's point. Gene said, you know, if they unincorporate, you know, the county picks that up. And if the county picks that up, it only further puts us down the spiral
The
that
snowballs just continues.
how do we cover that? Then, you know, we have less revenue, you know, they have less revenue to go on it.
You're gonna give us more.
Right, but now the counties will have to pick that up as well, and it just could be something not very good.
They talk about,
Well, I can think of better
28Es,
senators
trying to
talking
get
about
smaller communities to share services through 28Es. There's some talk about that. It
Some,
might be the way that you have to go though, to share services instead of every single small county having this, you know, they can maybe use.
Was Was Dawson at the legislative conference? Anybody talk to him?
I talked to them a little bit, but not in detail.
Okay.
I think they're still I think
He's
with,
kind of leading the march on that.
and I think they're still, you got the governor's proposal, the House, the Senate. We don't know what, I mean, they're all trying to work together to come up with what they're gonna do, so. Then I didn't touch it too much. We did have a NACO supper, but I'll let Ty cover that. He's our NACO guy. I thought that was good though.
Yeah, had a good talk with Tammy.
Yeah.
She was having a really good response at her table there.
Anything else, sir?
That's about it.
Okay. Gene?
Or in alphabetical order.
Yep, Jay's next.
All right. Some days I don't have a whole lot, and today I don't even know where to start. The committee that I went down on Wednesday was education. What we possibly think that our constituents want to hear in our next meetings. And so a lot of talk about having more talk about AI, which we did that in the morning session already, but they feel it's a conversation that needs to continue because it is really a thing these days.
Rapid evolution.
Yep, it really is. But one of the things that we want to be aware of is the policies that we may have as counties concerning AI and the use of it by employees and, being aware of the pitfalls of AI. It's not always perfect. I actually, while I was sitting there, I was sitting next to the speaker on that was from Missouri, correct? The guy that came, that talked.
Yeah, one of them was from Missouri.
Yeah. So I happened to be sitting next to his aide. And so while we were there, she downloaded Chat GTP for me and showed me how to use it. Haven't used it again since, but very interesting how much they count on all of that. But I think that that's going to be a subject that we will continue to hit on at our ISAC meeting so that counties are aware of the pitfalls. And I think we learn best from the mistakes other counties make. And it was very interesting. Military and veterans will continue to be things that we talk about. But Bitcoin and data centers and the noise and what counties need to know about that. We also think that we should take the hot topics subject and move that to the beginning of the session rather than at the end, because we feel like we're losing a lot of affiliates. They leave and they don't get that. The hot topics, I think, is where we really get to talk about whatever's on our mind. And if you notice, the crowd is kind of smaller in that last session when they do the hot topics. So we suggested that they move that to the beginning. Hydrogen and drilling, something that we kind of talked on, heading through disasters and federal aid, Iowa Homeland Security, just some of the things that we bullet pointed on. We will have another meeting before it actually comes up. But they also had a suggestion that we should have the cycling study. They talk about how much money cycling brings into communities. The Iowa Bike Coalition, how much money they have brought into some of the smaller communities, up to 900,000 Iowa ride bikes. And so you might be seeing some of that in our talks of how to bring more money.
That's odd. So I think it's just last week, I had a constituent talk to me about bicycles and sharing the road.
Yep.
They find it very peculiar that the state of Iowa deems it necessary that a side-by-side, they can go the legal speed limit and has full lights on it, has to be registered and can only go 35 miles an hour, but a bicycle don't have to be registered, don't have to have license on it, and can't keep up with traffic.
Yeah.
And there's no restrictions on that.
No SMV signs, nothing.
Yep. And that's part of it.
So that is a valid, to me, well, that's a valid argument.
I think so too. And you cannot see them. I get it 100%. But the whole thought of this study was that cyclists contribute millions of dollars to county economies through their spending, and even the smallest communities like Adams is seeing 500,000 annual impact. So we might talk a little bit more about that.
From what?
From
People bicycling through.
having bicycling,
Nice streets to ride on.
kind of like the rag ride deal.
Well,
But that's not
here
a,
again, statistics are, you only know what the true are until you study them, but, and here, I'm not gonna dispute them, but I'd like to see where they're coming up with their numbers. Is it
Iowa Bicycling Coalition, they
I'll
have.
have to
that
look
actual-
at it.
Well,
Iowa,
I can pass this on to you.
I'm always
because I
scared
don't
when I hear
need
that
it.
word coalition.
Coalition.
Yeah.
It's just some of the things that were brought up in this meeting that we had.
and I'm not trying
I
to
get it.
discredit the bicycling
I
thing
get it.
either. It's just,
I get it.
there's a lot of people that enjoy it and I should enjoy it more because look at the time. I could use a few laps around the county on a bicycle, but
Yeah, but that was just kind of that committee. But the one that actually had me going up front as soon as they were done talking, and I don't know if anybody saw me put my hands on her shoulders.
I did.
I apologize. It's a nonprofit organization that works hand in hand with, if I needed some more paper.
no, you just
But I did invite them to one of our meetings. I gave them, I didn't have my card with me that day, but I hand wrote my, because when I looked at the map of Crawford County, we had no little circle or no little face of anybody that's in Crawford County as our liaison to contact. I wish I had a copy of the map right now, and it just stuck out at me that Ida County has a representative. We have nobody. We're not on an advisory board. I told her it used to be I would know exactly who to call if there was a problem with mental health. And I believe we're back to putting them in jail and the emergency rooms, and we're just an island out here. And so I could tell they were passionate about their job and what they're doing, but it's just another layer of HHS. It's not, but they're also, you call this number, they try to identify the problem, they get somebody to call you back within 24 hours. Not acceptable. That's not the answer that I want to hear. And I could tell that they're struggling a little bit with what they're trying to do to fill in that gap of what HHS have left us with in these small communities. So I have her number, so we will communicate, and I'll get her to come sometime and try to make us feel better about what they're trying to do to make it more what we're used to. We have no representation.
We're not better off than what we were.
We are
And they have a
not.
lot of ground to make up to get us there.
And you just don't hear about it anymore. You just.
That's the first we've heard about it, since we heard that, what's her name, resigned.
Yep.
Can't remember. her
Kelly
name.
Garcia.
Who?
Kelly Garcia.
Kelly Garcia. So that was interesting. Also last week, we'll go back there for just a minute. I had a quick ECI meeting Tuesday after I got done. And that whole redistricting thing is gonna be hitting the early childhood, and DCAT is gonna be gone.
I am so fed up with that state board.
You should be. So what we found out is we want to be proactive in redistricting our own. And so they have an opportunity to take on the Four Lakes counties because they have no family support at this time because their advocate is no longer with them. So we encouraged Annette to go forward and try to see if we can do our own and have not be dictated to, that we are proactive in what we see our path to be. I really appreciate Annette for another person that truly has passion for her job, and I don't believe she does it for the money. She does traveling that we don't even know about, but she's actually kind of going to be retiring very soon. And so she wants to make sure she leaves it better than she found it, and wants to make sure that these steps that she knows about gets done before we're just shoved in a little. So that was a little quick meeting that we had. Ty, how much of the ISAC stuff did you want to talk about? Not all of it here. I thought it was one of the best ISAC meetings that we had, kept us engaged. And when I originally saw that they were going to have representatives from Illinois, Nebraska, and Missouri, I thought, what are
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, that guy was from Wisconsin.
Okay.
One on the far side.
Wisconsin, but it was really interesting how all are kind of the same, but we're a little bit different, and I thought it was very interesting. So that was kind of a couple of days of a lot of information. So I can pass this around or whatever. You weren't that wasn't there, but it was good. But mental health did come up again, and they're trying to do the whole medication for jails again, comes up, and how to get away from that. And they bill for their services, 988 and 211, these numbers that I can't even describe it. I didn't have a big piece of paper that day because I didn't know I was going to take notes. So I had to borrow a piece of paper. And so now I should have probably reorganized these notes before I came today, but warm handoffs from jails is things I wrote down. Yeah. Help someone land, no direct funding. Did you get much out of that, Ty, what they were talking about?
Not really.
Okay, my notes are all over the place.
Which
but,
one are you talking about? No direct funding
for jails. So but that's why.
That was the Medicaid stuff,
Right,
right?
yeah. So,
I didn't get that we were getting anywhere is what I got.
yeah, pretty much these notes, I think, just kind of go around in circles, but I wrote down all these numbers. You can either call 855-581-8111, 515-515-8988. And you have 3 numbers you can call. I'm just like, who knows who they're supposed to call? I'm not going to go any further into it. I'm going to have her come and talk to us, and we can ask questions.
That's so yell that you were.
I did not mean to shake her. I really did not. I didn't scare her. She was fine.
Sometimes you gotta shake
I
the
just
tree to
like-
get the apples to fall.
You know what? Them two seemed pretty knowledgeable.
They did.
And they seemed like they were pretty passionate about
They
getting
did.
this thing fixed.
They did.
And it was like, it even seemed like they were relieved that they were progressing now. But, there's some weak spots out here, and our county is one
They
of them,
did.
because like you brought up the point, we don't have an in-house contact.
No.
I'm glad that Jack Seward
Yep.
mentioned that, nobody's satisfied or happy with where we're at today. We were seeing these shortfalls. And they were starting to get kind of attacked
A little bit.
a little bit.
A little bit.
And good conversation, but Jack did I think he kind of put it in place. Hey, these are employees that are trying to
And he's even
work with us.
on the advisory board. He's on the advisory board. He's very passionate about mental health, and was from the first time I ever met him 5 years ago. But they're not part of HHS. They are another entity out here that's trying to fill in that void of another number to call, and they want to do warm handoffs is the thing that but it made no sense to me, and that's why I think they have to come. But it captured my you guys are here to talk about mental health. Who are you? But
Well, I was glad they were there. That's the first time we've seen that there's something moving out there
I
for
was
mental health.
I was really trying to figure out who pays them, how this all works, who these people with all these different numbers that you call, where are they? And the fact that you're going to get a return call within 24 hours on a mental health deal, I couldn't pull it all together in their 30 minutes that they had to talk. So I invited them to come to our county. System navigation facts, open to all Iowans. Law enforcement can call. Statewide experts, where will we find the slides? Working with schools, ECI. It just was I don't know how come I got so that I didn't have a piece of paper that day, but otherwise we're okay. But they're gonna come, so that's kind of the bottom line on it. So the rest of it was all good. I'm not gonna go into detail on it, but it was good. AI was very interesting to me though. And I think we need to have a policy about it, how it's used.
One of the Iowa Senate file on setbacks. Going through.
I think that AI, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg.
Well, it was
Well, I
interesting.
don't even think we've touched it yet. I think we can just see it coming at us in the distance, and it's moving faster all the time.
Well, somebody had used AI, and then somebody else had put the same words in and got something completely different. So be careful, what you're putting in there, and always proofread was kind of my takeaway on that. Don't think it's gonna come out and be exactly right, because it's not really a human being. So, but it was interesting. Then I had public health yesterday. It was pretty routine. The takeaway on that was the fact that we have to have ADA compliant websites by 2017. And so
27.
27.
We're a little behind.
27, I have it written right here.
Yep.
If you're a population less than 50,000, if you're a population more than 50,000, you have to do it a little bit faster. But public health is already working on it with other public health entities to figure out what you really need on that website and exactly how they're going to actually take off like job applications and things like that, because it really isn't used that much. And they'll just say upon request, and then they'll send it to you. But to have that little button that you push that reads it to you. What we talked about is, how when you have to say that you're not a robot, you're supposed to pick out all the motorcycles, and then they say you did it right. So they say pick out all the buses, and then you finally say, okay, say it to me. If it's going to be like that, because you can't understand that at all. It's just gibberish. So really going to have to work to make sure that it doesn't make the system worse, then better that you can't understand who's talking or how else you're going to do it. They thought it would cost public health probably about $5,000 to implement all of that, up to. And so I got to thinking about the county, what that would probably cost us to do all the documents that we have, that our agendas would have to be so that people that can't. So, but Ryan is on it. They actually had a session in his IT at ISAC, so he's on it. I guess Carol got a grant to help with theirs, and so he's going to be seeing where that grant came from. And so part of it is to be the first one out there. So if there's grant money, we can tap into that. So luckily he was at ISAC, so we can learn there's a grant possibly and get working on it. So we are going to be ready by 2027. So otherwise, it was a short week. It was a long week.
Right.
It went fast.
It went fast. Yeah. That's all I have.
Want me to go?
You're next.
Okay. I don't have a lot to add to what you guys talked about. I mean, it's a pretty good report. I just wanted to get into some of the stuff that's concerning me that we talked about down there that you didn't cover. And that's the setback thing that the House and Senate are trying to push through on towers and solar. And so to quote unquote, make it uniform across the state so that no counties put in something so restrictive that it stops it from being there. I thought, shouldn't that be the right of the property owners and the board that they direct to represent them on local issues like that? Shouldn't that? I mean, every time we turn around, they're obliterating home rule. And now I did see, like within the House file, what is their number? 692, HSB 692. It prohibits the use of eminent domain for solar or wind. That's about all it stated in there for the renewable energy projects. Or that's probably better to state it that way. However, no Senate file on that. And where are we having the trouble with eminent domain and everything else? It's the Senate. So that troubles me. The wind turbine, they're 3 times the height of the wind turbine, but then they use regular feet on the solar. So I really don't know how that looks, from property lines and then from a house foundation. We went through this drill, so we know the terms. They're trying to create uniformity. So it looks to me like they're working for the lobby. And not for the county and by our residents. So, which we see often enough down there.
So that would that in fact render any ordinances useless then?
I believe all of our ordinances or our construction permitting basically is all null and void, anything that we have in place if that stuff passes. Once again, it's another thing that affects home rule or what we're doing here immeasurably. And has anybody had them reach out to them? Has Steve or Jason, I should say, has our representative or our senator reached out to anybody in this bit? I mean, Craig's not here
I tried to call.
about this.
No.
I haven't.
I haven't.
I can't remember, you know, I remember having a conversation with Steve at one point. And I think something got brought up, but I wasn't aware that this was coming.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evident our constituents will let us know. What,
Well, I think that now that there's a little bit more out there about it, and we've been pretty much fully briefed on it down there at ISAC this last week, or not fully briefed, but at least fully alerted. How's that? That's probably the way to put it. I just don't, you know, I mean, what is it? Grundy County, not Grundy. Who's down there? John Wayne County, the
Madison.
Madison County. There we go. Bridges of Madison County. They don't want it, period. And that's their choice. And I believe that's a community effort that
I
don't
believe
want
that is too.
it. And why should the State House interfere with that? It just blows my mind that, I mean, it's like they're trying to go out there and generate funds and maybe thinks that this is gonna help us with our property taxes, because I have been told, well, you guys are missing a great opportunity to generate property tax. But I said, at what expense?
But yet then they cap how much we can tax them.
Yeah, and that's my point. I mean, you know, they cap what we can get from them so that you gotta have 1,000 of them in your county. I mean, just drive through Ida and Sac. I mean, it's helped them, won't, you know, to do road work. Won't argue that, you know, and if that's what they wanted and their people wanted that, good for them. But I just don't get the vibe that everybody's wanting to run out there and throw a bunch of them out in their fields. Some people don't mind it, you know, they appreciate the extra income. I really worry more about the absentee landowners that would want them and throw them right next to town.
They're the ones that really enjoy them.
Yeah, well, they enjoy that cash flow, you know, I mean, I don't really have I don't want one in my pasture, mind you, it's a little bit close to the house, I don't want it falling over on my house, trees scare me bad enough in a windstorm, you know?
That'd be an interesting study to see how many are actually on property of landowners that.
Or on land that is in direct correlation to the homestead of the property owner.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be the interesting thing to see.
Let's see if AI can do it.
I don't know, that just, and once again, it's like the pipeline. I really don't care if you want that, especially the pipeline's easy because it's underground. It's not gonna bother anybody's eyesight. You gotta worry about it exploding, you know? I mean, but life's full of risk. Hell, getting out of the bathtub's a risk, you know, getting into it's a risk. But, I mean, I don't care if it's there. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with it being on their property, you know, and then you can't force them to do it. You know, I just end up for something like that. And this isn't to me any different. It's a utility in a sense, but it's the power generation unit. So none of them are the real, I mean, Whipco, I would like to say Mid-America can't, but they actually own a lot of these wind turbines. So, I mean, I was when I talked to Steph about it one day, she can't own anything that generates, because I asked her, I said, why don't you guys, REC, build their own power plant? They'll build one of these little mini nukes that would supply Crawford County and you could set your own rates then. As that thing gets paid for, then you only got maintenance. She said, we can't. We've got an obligation to get it from whoever they get it from. And maybe that's it, is it's a long-term commitment from somebody that generates that power. So I don't know. I guess I should ask her a little bit more about that. Because it's
Curious. I mean, they put solar field.
Yeah, so they're generating power there.
It just blows my mind on time. Kyle said the wind turbines are capped. But yet if they want to force them on counties and then they're capped, but we get a small portion back.
Yeah.
Who's it really favoring?
Trace it back to the lobbyists, I'm sure.
But here's the biggest problem I have with wind turbines. When I was out in NACO and just listening to a little group talk, I mean, that's where you get some of your best information, is doing the eavesdropping. I don't know how sustainable these are. With nuclear coming out now and these little things and these small gas things and I'm gonna tell you, if the people building the data centers, they know what they need. And if they overdo it, like they tell you to do with solar, to where you get a little bit more to put back on the grid, and it kind of covers your costs throughout the year, right? But what if they thought, well, if we build this a little bigger, that's another source of revenue for us. And we gotta build the darn thing anyway. So, I mean, you could start getting a lot more of them out there, you know? I mean, so number one, we know the wind turbines aren't sustainable without the subsidy.
Right.
We've already said that. I don't know how if the solar fields is, you know, that's a little different setup, you know, and it's not near as highly mechanical. So maybe it's more sustainable without subsidy. But, you know, you got to wonder if an administrative, you know, I mean, even Trump's kind of mentioned whether he wonders whether that's a good way to spend tax dollars. You know, I mean, what happens when an administration comes in the near future and says, no more, no subsidies, and all them things are all sitting out there still.
It could happen.
And now they go bankrupt, can't afford to do the decommissioning. If you didn't have them put it on a surety bond, no way to afford the decommissioning. Where are you? I mean, we got to look at the what ifs.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned right now, especially when they're redoing these setbacks. That might put a big surge of them into the state, because they're opened up the blade thing over there at Newton. Is it
It was
Newton?
Newton. Well, I'd seen it too. I'm not gonna say 100%.
Yeah, they reopened that and they're building blades over there again. Looks good. I mean, fine. I'm not.
It's being made here.
Industry here.
Yep.
So I'm good, you know.
But you're right, it should be decided locally if they, something they want or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just, you know, I'm trying to look at all the
Yes.
This has been a
potential
battle down
ramifications.
Madison County for years already.
It has, well, they
I
have
think
a
when we
lot of.
started with our construction deal, I think Board of Supervisors was already in the Supreme Court over this deal.
Yeah.
And that in itself is sad that a corporation is willing to do that.
All about me.
Take a county because they want to put,
You know, and Madison's one of where you got a whole county that's kind of a little tourist type, you know,
that's
attraction.
why they don't want
That's
them
why they
there.
don't want
That's
it.
exactly right. That's why I get it. You know, the bridges of Madison County gets, I mean, who hasn't heard of that movie, you know?
Right.
And
If you
so I
ever
mean,
had
I
an
get why
opportunity
they're,
to drive around in Madison County,
that's a beautiful county.
it's a beautiful county.
It
You don't
is.
want
They
to
don't want
take
They want to
picture
keep
of
it
a
that way.
pretty bridge with a wind turbine in the background.
I mean, you know, well, if there's just one or two back there, probably wouldn't be a terrible look. But if there's 50 of them back there, you know, I mean, some counties, there's more wind field turbines than there are corn stalks, you know, I mean.
Definitely more people.
Yeah, well, definitely, then, yeah, you aren't a kid. You know what I mean? If you got a Lyon County or not Lyon, but Leon County or something that's a real small, 4,000 people maybe max, you know, and they're starved for generating property tax, and they want to do that in their county. Most of the county's probably farmers anyway. You just hit them.
Well, there again,
Farmers and elevators.
local control will control
There
that.
you
And
go.
they will control it at the ballot box, one way or another.
Or they'll be sitting in the room or being on our Zooms,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, to me, just the State House right now, the trifecta is annoying the hell out of me. How's that?
Well,
I mean, they're just,
I would agree.
I mean, I hate that.
It should.
They're accomplishing a lot of nothing, in my opinion.
Well, it seems like they think they gotta pass, I mean, what did we hear Jamie and them talking about? They've ran more stuff through this cycle than ever. I mean, it's just constantly something new, pop, 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 pop,
A
pop.
lot of them are from one instance things.
Yeah, that's serves one county.
Thing
Yeah, one
happened in
person's having
one
trouble out there.
county.
Yeah,
So we're gonna blanket.
the state,
State with new policy.
yeah. Yeah, I am not having
Group
a,
punishment.
my feeling right now is not of jubilance. How's that?
Something going on for sure. Figure it out.
I'm sorry, I didn't
What else
didn't
you
mean to bring us down.
What else you got?
you know what, other than going there, you know, I'm sorry I missed the Wednesday stuff, you know, and
Oh, I know.
with the
You
doctor
had stuff going
appointment and
on.
stuff, so. But,
That JD was something else.
you liked him, didn't you? I guess I could talk about, you said something about the dinner. You know, we had a little dinner with, and it was JD, which is our president for NACO, JD. My mind just went blank.
Judge.
Judge, he's judge. And judge, I was glad that they gave that definition of, he actually does do judge work. You
That was
know,
interesting to me.
like what Arlo did, you know, that kind of judge
Like
work.
a magistrate.
So he is, but he isn't, their commission, which is a board, what we call a board, is made up of commissioners. What do you say, 4 of them? And then he is basically the administrator, the chair of that as the judge. So he administrates the commission, but then he also has judge duties during the week. So I thought that was kind of an interesting deal. I'd never heard that explained yet, so that was neat. Tammy Kincher, that is their outreach for the county outreach, state and county outreach. She is, since I've been on NACO, I mean, been one of the people I hang out with when I go there. That Terry Wilbur I've talked to you guys about from New York. Then Julie Inneman from Ohio. There's this, and there's several of them that we kind of, a little group in the leadership in the ag and in Iraq. And Tammy was in that, and she's from Western. Greenbrier is that hotel out there that they actually had a deal that we could have went to. It wasn't a big event, but it was, you know, like what Iraq, not so as small as a flower, but like we have our Western States thing, you know, like last year we were in Rapid City. This year they go back to out there in Hawaii. But
We'll have to discuss that, Bill, before you go, if you're going to Hawaii.
oh, I'm not going. I didn't go to Rapid City. I thought about driving out to Rapid City.
That's not that bad.
But I did call my wife when I heard it was in Hawaii. I said, you want to go to Hawaii next year? Because I was going to tell her, you got to pay for the airfare. But I called her and asked her, she went, oh, I'll go. And then I said, well, I'm going to make us pay for the airfare now. Oh, I don't know. That's probably pretty expensive. I said, I don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it was. But anyway, Tammy's very, you can tell, she's sharp as a tack. I mean, there's a reason they stole her away from her county. And she's gonna be good for that. But I talked to her about it. I said, so what's your reception on them few counties we got that aren't in NACO? And she said, just about all of them stopped. And I think they got Boone going and a couple other, and there was a guy standing at her table when I was there, and he was asking about them. She said, well, here's a good guy to ask. Because she said, in the last several years, we finally got his county where they're coming out to the events. And I think it's been very good for us. And I bring stuff back. I mean, if there's a couple of things that I brought back on a grant deal, so hopefully them will come, that starts to pay the bill. But
If Iowa gets 100% sign up from the counties for NACO, then you get another
we get a second
delegate.
we get a second board member on their board. You know, there's quite a few members on that board from across the country. You can get 2 per state. I don't think you can get a bunch more. I don't think California can overload it, because that's the thing you want to keep is a balance there. So our priorities are staying focused on the entire country. I think, because I've heard them talk about that before. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't get to talk to these guys enough to where I remember their names all the time. But the guy that's their CEO, or like what Andrew is to us at the state level, very sharp, very, very cordial fellow. No, that don't sound right. Anyway.
I like his song.
Oh, and then I told you guys about that. I said you were gonna love his county song. He sang that when he got, basically the day he got put up as president. He sang that song for us out at NACO, and I said, oh my God, we've got to have that played in Iowa.
That was good.
So when Andrew got him to come here, that was.
And they found him a guitar.
And he said, well, I'll sing it, but you guys gotta have a guitar, and I carry a guitar through the airport.
Matt Chase.
Matt, there you go. He is very sharp, and I mean, very engaged in DC and very well liked. I mean, every one of the public officials you talk to know exactly who he is. So that's good. So that means we got a good voice up there, you know. So I think NACO's a good thing for us, and I think you got to see a good part of that. Because I mean, look at JD. And every time I've seen every new president, I mean, we've had, what was her name from,
Mary Ann,
yeah, Mary Ann's Minnesota. Or Mary Jo. Mary Jo's from Minnesota. Mary Ann's our auditor down in Pot County.
yeah,
I'm trying to remember her name from Illinois. Super lady. But you know, all of our presidents are like that. Very engaged people out there really fighting for counties. They, you know, come at it at a bipartisan level. I mean, it's really, really, really very, very effective organization. So anyway, that's about all I got. You know, Ben?
Ben should be coming.
He should be coming.
He's always right on time.
Maybe something popped up. You got the sale, when's the sale? Next week?
Yeah.
I seen the dump truck sitting on the corner already.
I saw.
I think it's next week.
That's what I was gonna say.
There he comes. Strolling nonchalantly.
That's how much they.
We're ready for you. I'm done talking for you. Come on in.
How's it going today?
So far, so good. Pretty early yet. Okay. Looks good. We're ready for you.
All right.
We are, we have.
I sure will try it in.
Yeah, so.
These around.
We do that.
Sorry.
We brought a bunch.
Big packet.
A stack.
Uh-oh.
Well, just, you know, we didn't get blown away.
Oh, my gosh, wasn't that something?
Blizzard, but, it's quite the weather event for.
It didn't have much snow, but boy, did it snow.
It did, and on that note, we did elect not to send the trucks out that afternoon. It would have made no impact on what was going
It would
on
have
out
been
there.
dangerous.
It would have been dangerous. It just one of those times where you calm it down. We were out early the next day and really not much had stuck down the road.
Or not much on the roads at all.
Not to say, you know, some areas where the trees, some trees
Sheltered areas.
sheltered, like deposits and stuff. But by and large, the roads fared out very well, and they're out early, tackling it next morning. So,
Once that wind gets that snow or once it just kind of
yeah,
cleared up.
we all ended up in the ditches and, you know, big drift behind my house. So, it's where it all went, I guess. So, but well, aside from that, our project, the HMA project, still no start date on that. But we did the test mill sections to determine the wrap of the wrap for that they'll send off to the district materials to get the oil content and the aggregate materials, content of the wrap that they're going to use. But talking to the crews out there, they still have no idea what their schedule is for as far as starting construction. They think first week in April is when they'll kind of determine what kind of schedule they're looking at and when they think they'll be coming up this direction. But so we'll know a little more then hopefully. So, but so really no news to report there. Our grade crews, they're looking at, you know, when conditions allow, they're going to start up on that E Avenue by Schleswig and going over to 230th Street. There's about a half-mile dirt roadway that they're going to start their grading on there. They did kind of go out over on F Avenue towards the east side of the county, west side of the county, and remove some trees just in preparation for a different grading project. But so they're out kind of picking as weather allows. And our bridge crew, they're when conditions allow, they're going to start down on that bridge down on 390th Street, down neck of the woods there, Dave, and between X and Y Avenue. But that's where they intend to begin. But right now they're still addressing some culvert issues, little things here and there until weather really truly allows to get started on a project. So
they're talking dang near 80 by the end of the week.
yeah, they are. So,
Crazy.
yeah, so it might be next week that we're getting started on things.
We just drove over that bridge last night.
And we still got a ugly end of March coming, according to fog data.
From what I hear, that's been staying pretty true.
A lot of moisture coming in.
Yeah, don't get too bigger.
I think the guys have been keeping track of that down at the shop too. So, but Roadside will resume April 6th. Brady will come in a little earlier, get things ready, but
He's chomping at the bit.
he is.
He called me yesterday.
He's been probably once a week all winter long, so just keeping up with us, so.
Keep making brownies for now. We're good.
He does make some good treats. First item down, item number 4, motion to approve a public hearing related to the reclassification of the roadway segment, 230th Street between H and G Avenue. That's a project that we had graded last year, that dirt road, and we had discussed last season that it's something that the landowners wanted to upgrade from a level B to a level A. We waited till this year after the grading had kind of settled and to really want to put forth the resolution to before we actually get the rock out there. So we're kind of at that point now. As soon as we start getting some trains of limestone back in, we wouldn't mind getting started putting the limestone out on that section of roadway. So, but that's, again, I know this is probably more discussion that we had last year towards
I'm
the
trying
end.
to remember the discussion completely.
230th Street, kind of couple miles just south and east of Schleswig there, a dirt road that we had graded. And
Yeah.
landowners want to upgrade it from a level B to a level A. They're willing to put forth the funding to.
That's what I couldn't remember if they were gonna help put up the funding.
Yeah.
They did, and we got a funding agreement that they had signed, that they were over a 3-year period.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of where we landed with that, but like I said, we wanted to let the road sit after we had graded it, let it settle, put the rock out on it this year. I kind of want to wait until we get some rock coming into the yard down there. We're kind of sitting a little bit light on our limestone pile. We sent a lot out to the outside piles, but until they really get busted into the pile up at Martin Marietta. We probably got a couple weeks before we start seeing some limestone coming in by rail down there.
That makes good sense.
So I want to make sure we get some coming in before we start throwing that large quantities out on projects, so.
We get that stretch fixed down there by Garrett's over towards North Metamar, we got that fixed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How about March 31st? Will that work for you for this public hearing?
Yes, I believe so. I thought I was sitting here. So.
It's over here.
Oh, okay. Yes, that works for me. Yeah.
Okay.
10 a.m.
That'd be a motion, Dave?
It's a motion.
I'll say,
Second, okay, go ahead. Jim.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to set date and time for a public hearing related to reclassification of 230th Street from a level B road to an A road, March 31st, 10 a.m. in the boardroom. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi,
All opposed? Okay, the motion passes. All right. What's next?
Next time, we have interviewed last week, towards that last part of last week, a few guys for some part-time positions, well, we got a couple positions on the bridge crew. We like to get a couple part-time guys and a couple part-time truck drivers for the gravel haul. Pretty typical. The guys that we did have in those positions have either left for new positions or retired or what have you. We're just kind of filling spots that, where there's a void for some part-time guys. And, get some guys in the seats there. So, as well as a position on the dirt crew, for the great crew. Dave Priest, he's not back this year, and so we're gonna get a guy kind of filling where he was at. So, interviewed about 4 guys, very good gentlemen. We're bringing them in, as part of this week, do some pre-employment drug and alcohol testing, the pre-employment physicals and stuff, and all looks good. We'd like to get them started probably right away as soon as first part of April for the dirt crew and bridge crew, and but the truck drivers we'll probably get started right away. We got some limestone. We'd like to start maybe hauling some from up north, while we're waiting on rails to come in, and there's just things that we can keep them busy doing. So, but yeah, that's that's where we're at with that. Hopefully, bridge crew, they've been shy of a full-time guy for a year or two now. Hopefully, end of the season, see how these one of the part-time guys here that we'd be bringing in works out, and possibly, but hopefully, kind of fill that full-time position and get that crew back up to their former glory. So good. Yeah. Next item, gravel. We do have a contract down there from Stratford Gravel. They're sitting at, they're at $9.31 a ton for the gravel up by Lakeview Pit, Carlson Pit there. A little bit less per ton than what the Hollis gravel is, but again, distance a little bit further. So
Does that include our 10?
that does have the 10% limestone mix in with it. So guys who like that, they do like the material that's been coming out of there. Again, it's a little more of the costlier gravel that, going up that a little bit further north of Lakeview, but we try and even that out with the security it gives us, knowing that our pile will be on the ground. This will be made for the 2027 gravel haul, so they're going to put it up this year for us to be able to put it on next summer. So and they've been very good about that, allowing us to pay for it either before or after July 1 fiscal year, helping us out in that way. So we've got some wiggle room in that regard too. So it's been a good deal. We don't want to go 100% one direction or the other. House Stratford kind of keeping it at that right around 50-50 from each supplier. We don't want to totally go one direction or the other, I guess. So again, this year we are hauling about the 70,000. We got 70,000 sitting on the ground from Stratford's. 40,000 is what we had kind of discussed with House from Anthony, and then about 10,000 from Wall Lake Pit from Anthony. It's what we're looking at hauling this year. The Howlett material, they said they'd like to see more coming out of that Wall Lake Pit. We'll look at the material, see what it's looking like. But right now, I know the guys, it just looks, the stuff from Anthem looks better on the roads. But again, the cheaper stuff is going to be the Wall Lake material. And if they say it's looking better, we want to kind of keep an eye on it and see if we can see if it is any better.
Is it cheaper with freight on top of it or not? I mean,
it's cheaper per ton on the ground, and of course it's our closest material. So
in that area.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be stuff that'll come from Anthem that's going to make more sense coming from that direction.
Sure.
Basically, we cover that northwest corner of the county with the Anthem material, and just down the line, basically anything west of L51 there.
Sure.
And depending on when that project, L51 project, gets started, we may have our guys start covering that territory a little bit, kind of get that done before the HMA project gets going on. So that's not hampering our gravel haul. So
That'd be good.
I like to look at for next year about the same amount from Stratford, the 70,000 ton of gravel, and I'll probably have that contract for you to make a motion to approve that contract next week. So.
That was 9:31, was it?
9:31.
9:31. My number says.
That's what I wrote down. 10% limestone.
Yep.
What else you got, Ben? We got
The last.
hearing at 10. So.
Yeah, I see that. The two sheets I have stapled back here. One's just our FM funding projects, basically our paved road projects, except for the one highlighted in blue that kind of blue. 120,000 out of the FM that slated for the Donnery Road project. But this is basically our 5-year program coming up. These are our contract paving projects that we kind of come up with for the 5-year program. Still playing off a little bit of what Paul program the year prior, so things haven't changed a lot. And we got the L51 project going on this year. Donnery Bridge going on next year, a little bit coming out of that. It's not a paving project, but it's coming out of the, looks like it's coming out of the FM account there. And then we had, again, after that, we got S Avenue there. I know that 3 miles of new paving that we put in a possibility. Between that one and the one in January 31 to 32 that I put on this Kenwood Road, like I said.
Will we do that like we're doing, like we did the Buck Road Road then?
Right.
Do the same kind of thing all the way down from 141 all the way to.
I think so. Yeah, we do that whole stretch. Estimating that around 3.8. Again, I'd like to see how that goes because that may be one that we're going to try and do some patching work in some of the bad areas this year. See how that's holding up. See what the rest of the road looks like. But that may be one that kind of takes precedence over doing some new paving here, depending on how that road continues to look over the next few years. But we want to come. Again, this is just kind of the program what we got going on today. It can change, but this is what we got in 5-year program for the paving projects that we'd like to see. With Kenwood kind of being new to that list.
I hate to cut you short, but
Yep.
if we got any questions, we can stop down and talk to you about it then, okay?
Yep. The other thing, then, sheets, just take
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a public hearing scheduled for 10 o'clock, so I'd entertain a motion to open that public hearing.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Gene, seconded by Ty. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are in the public hearing. The public hearing is in regards to the consideration of resolution 2026-10, officially declaring emergency medical services in Crawford County as essential service. Fourth reading. Okay. We've got a full house. So
I don't know if you have to read that.
what's that?
Oral objection.
Yeah, do you have to read from?
Probably should read that. We do have one oral objection. You want to read it?
No.
You had it in your packet. Dear County Supervisors, March 5th, 2026 story in the Free Press. Supervisors vote to keep original wording, change of wording resolution is requested by CCMH. And whereas the Crawford County Board of Supervisors recognizes the current emergency medical services system in Crawford County is fragmented and lacks the financial resources necessary in the future, could affect the ability to provide for the safety and citizens of Crawford County, and the need for the appointment of the Crawford County EMS system to apply for guidance, research, and direction of the EMS in Crawford County for the Board of Supervisors. And ever since the hospital was compelled by force to commission a study of CCMH's fragmented EMS, which was completed by Crossfire Solutions, Christopher Way, which revealed serious deficiencies in CCMH's ambulance service approximately a decade ago. CCMH ambulance service has shown continuous deficiencies in its ambulance service, many of which continue today, and some are even more serious than those revealed then. Way promised those individuals he interviewed, many of our volunteers from such communities as Dow City, Manila, that their participation in the ambulance study, they would be able to receive and examine the study results. Neither the volunteers nor the public were permitted. They were denied by CCMH to receive or read the results, which would have been useful and certainly provide guidance as to the recommendations, ways Crossfire Solutions ambulance study proposed and recommended. It is ludicrous for CCMH to use lack the financial resources necessary to provide for the safety of the citizens of Crawford County when it is widely known that CCMH pays its top 30 gross wage earners anywhere from 25 to 33% more than comparable public hospitals in Harlan and Washington, Iowa, and recently risked another $28.5 million in a questionable building project as an excuse for lacking financial resource. Respectfully, Rich and Deb Note.
That was the only written
That was a written.
response.
It was a, I don't know if it was an objection or a compliment or what it was, but
It didn't seem
so
like an objection.
it was brought to us, so therefore we read it. Okay. Anybody else here and want to address the board today? The large crowd, I would suggest we will limit it to 5 minutes per person, so say your name and
Okay, my name is Lloyd Carlson. I'm former EMS for when the other facility was up. And I just got a question for the hospital. Why can't we get 2 crews for 24 hours service? I understand that some of the other departments around are having to cover second call. When I worked up there, I was doing scheduling. We had first call, we had second call for every shift. Why isn't it happening now? Why is Dow City, Manila, or Kyron being called in to back things up? Another question for the board is how am I supposed to help pay for this, but I'm on fixed income? And there's more than one individual, I'm sure, in the county that's on fixed income that owns property. And every time something comes up, the taxpayers are doing it. We have to foot the bill. I'd like to have you explain to me how my Social Security is supposed to help cover all these additional expenses when Social Security gives me a little bit of increase, some years to nothing. I'd like to have a straight answer. No bullshit. I want a straight answer up front. Thank you.
Lloyd, do you want the hospital to answer your first question or you want us to answer your second question first?
You make the call.
Okay.
Hear from them.
I mean, to be honest, this is not my public hearing. This is your public hearing.
Okay.
Not that I'm not willing to answer it. It's just,
I shouldn't put you on the spot. or
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, I'm happy to have a conversation with people, but it's not my public.
Okay. In regards to the how this was going to be funded, it would be funded through tax dollars, but this is not something that we are, how we want to say, what we're doing today is to, put on a ballot to have the taxpayers vote if they want this. And if this passes today, not a commission, I keep forgetting the word,
Council, advisory council.
a council will be formed to put together a plan that will determine the amount or dollar amount or a percentage of tax dollars that will be asked for by the public. And the public will have an opportunity to vote on it and must receive a super majority vote to pass on a November ballot. So this is not something that as a board that we are pushing per se. It will be a vote of the people. So it'll be the will of the people. And I do understand your point that a lot of people are on fixed incomes in this county, and that advisory council, I think, will take that in consideration. And at least I hope they do, Lloyd. And
Today, basically, what we need to do per the Iowa code is set up this advisory board to do the study and to give us a plan on how this is going to work. And once they do that and they present it to the board, we will then take all that information and decide. And we may not put it on the ballot. It may not be feasible based on the information we get, depending on how we're going to work with the hospital also gets a levy. That all has to work together, not to increase more, but there is a concern about public safety. We have to look into the future when our volunteers are no longer available, how we're going to keep our county safe. As a supervisor, one of our most important, I think it's paragraph line 1, is our job is to keep our county safe. And so we're investigating and trying to research how we can continue to do that with the lack of volunteers. And the state has allowed us to declare that an essential service, and we're doing the investigation that we need to do to make sure that it's feasible for our county. And so we have absolutely at the top of our mind is what it'll cost our people and how else we can do it without adding more burden onto our tax burdens. And I'm one of those people that are on that fixed income, so I have you absolutely understand.
No, I'm not against, I agree that the county does need this additional service. Before I moved down here, I lived in South Dakota, and that was a private owned ambulance service that covered the county. They had county tax money that, you know, they got, but they were also depending upon a lot of the insurance.
Right.
And you know, nowadays, some of these insurance companies deny requests,
Right.
which hurts everybody.
And that's difficult when you go out on an emergency. The first thing you're not going to ask is what kind of insurance do you have? You know, the most important thing is to take care of that person. You can't.
Yeah.
So it's really, and so we are trying to get the information and get a task force lined up that can gather what's best for Crawford County.
Yeah, it's, when I was on the service, our responsibility was take care of the patient. Don't worry about how they're gonna pay for it, you know, because they may not be from the county. Sometimes they were out of state. You never knew. When you went on a call, you didn't know what you were getting into.
Exactly. And safety is the main concern. So dollars and what's best sometimes don't always agree, but we're going to do our best.
But no, I do agree with you. Some of these guys may know me. I used to be affiliated with a lot of departments, work with them. And I agree. They do need some backing of some type to help them out.
Right.
You know, because they, like you said, volunteers. It's tough to get anybody to volunteer, no matter what you're in.
When you're in an emergency, you want to make sure that that person that is coming is qualified to take care of you. That's the other thing. You have to have some training, and training is expensive, and the commitment.
Oh, yeah.
We're totally engaged in all of it.
Thank you.
You want me to say something?
Did you want to?
Yeah. Lloyd, I'll try to address the questions, because I do quite a bit with, you know, mostly on the EMS side, but I also have been inquiring a lot of the hospitals. The question you asked, I think the biggest issue isn't the money aspect. I mean, obviously that's always a concern, but I mean, I don't think that's there's a lack of the people out there. I mean, there's not as many paramedics out there. There's not as many. I mean, the EMT world, I don't want to speak for them. I mean, there's not as many out there. And, you know, we've got three, well, I mean, I think we've got three great volunteer departments. I mean, I think Manila and Dow City could rival anybody in the state as far as volunteer departments go. But we've got to try to find ways to help them. You know, and I got a truck line, as you know. If I want a good fleet, I got to grow my own, and it's getting harder and harder to do that. So we've got to work together to find ways to increase enthusiasm. You know, when I was up at NACO, I think 2 years ago, and sitting in on our rural development, and it was about EMS and essential service stuff. And they said the greatest last surge in emergency medical service personnel was when Johnny Gage was on TV every night. You know, I mean, that got people motivated about it, you know? And so if we got to get Hollywood to help support our issues out here, or something to that effect, I mean, it made great sense. You know, you got to get people's attention first. I mean, we like I said, we've got some great volunteers already, but we got to find ways to help build their force, which I think in turn would create a pool that actually might help build the full-time force. You know, at least augment it with people that could work part-time, but maybe you could still get more full-timers out of that with the younger people. You know, most all of our departments have some type of program that's even bringing high school kids in, you know, in a learner program, you know, whether it's on the fire service or the EMS side of things. So, I mean, we've got to look as a whole team. It's a county team to take care of the folks. And we're lucky to have our volunteers. I mean, we like to think that we're showing them gratitude because I do appreciate the heck of out of the work they do. I try to, when I'm not out and about trying to support my truck and my private ventures, I try to get to all their, their stuff, and show them that they matter, at least to me, and I think that they matter to the whole county. There's some great organizations out there for us. So I think that that's part of the problem. You always got to have dollars to support any enterprise. I mean, they're putting a lot of miles on their rigs. They're putting a lot of miles at the hospital on their rigs. All that stuff's got to finance. It's got to, and when we go and do calls, we're burning through materials, whether it's oxygen or all the bandages or whatever else you might need out there when you're out there. I mean, so all that stuff we've got to be able to support it. But then there's the trainings, there's the CEUs and all the different things that have to support this, and I learned some new words so the skill degradation, that's been in the conversations lately. And I mean, does that work? And I think when I had to go to the doctor this last week down at the VA, that the guy that drew my blood had been on, I don't know why, he'd been missing for about 6 months, he said. And I don't know if it was a medical thing for him or I didn't ask, but he had a hell of a time finding my veins. He says, it's been a while. I said, well, I'm kind of getting the message there, So anyway, I get that, and these guys, when they're rolling, might be doing that, inserting an IV, something might happen where they got to do it on the fly. So skill sets, all them things. I mean, we've got to support these people as best we can. And that's why we've kind of brought it to the board's got it, where we're bringing it out there to the public's attention that, hey, we're gonna bring this to where you guys can vote on it. Is it gonna cost you something? Well, really, right now, we're working on ways to try to make sure it costs us as little as possible. And still can give them the support as the volunteers to keep their equipment up top notch, to keep their force top notch, their training top notch, and help them recruit people and do the hospital the same way. It's an entity that's separate in the fact that we're full-time versus part-time, or volunteer, excuse me, not part-time, but volunteers. But it's all one team supporting the citizens of Crawford County and our valued guests, as you brought it, as you pointed out. So I mean, I think that's what this is all about. We're not trying to put more tax on you, but we want to ensure that in 10 or 15 or 20, 25 years, Crawford County isn't left hanging. We got, this is actually a vision into the future. I mean, right now, there's been some times that we have issues, but nothing overly tragic like some other counties have had, So I mean, we don't want to wait for that to happen. We don't want to wait for everything to get too far behind the curve here. So that's what this is about. So hopefully I answered that hospital part for you, or at least to the best I could.
Is there any other way to generate some revenue other than property tax? I mean, like, can there be like additional percentage of sale tax added so everybody pays for it other than the property owners alone, or is that against the law?
There's that option of 1% of.
I think there's the 1%. Is that what it is, Zach?
1% of income surtax.
I don't know how much that'd be though. I mean, I really don't know if that would cover a lot. I mean, and I think you can do a combination of both, can't you? So that's another way that we could be looking at to help hold the property tax down. I got my property taxes are too high too. It's one of the reasons I'm sitting here, But I don't know that we'll be able to completely go. I mean, we're going to have to address it, but we're trying to find ways to execute this objective and be fiscally responsible to you guys, the taxpayer. I mean, we're really after that, whether it's for property tax or sales. I mean, this is a primary goal of ours, is to preserve the wealth of our county. How's that? But we'll also preserve the health and safety of our county as well. So health, wealth, and safety are the primary issues.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. Appreciate the question.
Anybody else want to address?
Well, I asked Erin if she could. Well, I'm trying to think. if we can get it up here on the TV. She had some pretty good slides to give a little bit of information about what's going on. Do you think that would work through the
I have
Zoom?
no idea how to work.
Right.
Are you able to log into the Zoom, Aaron?
I am in there.
There are some
Can you
seats up there
share?
if you want to come and sit down. Anybody that wants to come in.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome, so come on
I
in.
have 14 right here right now, it looks like.
Yeah, please sign in if you haven't.
Yeah, we need everybody to try to sign. Yep, there we go.
Look at that.
We're rocking. Look at this. We're in the modern world, thanks to Ryan. Actually,
Come on
Kyle's
in.
please come up front and just kind of give a brief overview so people like Lloyd can see what's going on, because this would actually help answer.
Take a seat.
I don't want to see that.
You want it? That's place for you.
There we go. All right, there's a seat here, somebody.
Yeah,
can sit
somebody
down.
could even
Come on
come
in.
play supervisor. Yeah, you wanna play
I
supervisor?
limit you to 5 minutes as well.
I don't know if I'll be able to get done in 5 minutes, but I'll do my.
You never get volunteers for that on the spot.
All right. So I thought I'd throw some numbers at us a little bit, just so we can kind of understand, and I'm gonna answer your question. I just didn't want to like throw it out there, and I think this will make a little bit more sense. So, CCMH, this is like how many runs each department has done. Now that it is based on whether or not people put their runs into image trend or not, and I find it hard to believe that Deloitte didn't have any last year. That doesn't make sense to me that for first responders they didn't, but I could be mistaken. So CCMH went on 1,009 runs last year, Dow City 70, Chiron 53, Manila 59. You can see the totals at the bottom. Just as a general idea, in 2022, when I came and presented to this group here, we were over 1,300, so the numbers are going down a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. So this is kind of the average 911 calls per week by service. So you can kind of see, like the hospital runs just over 19, Dow City just over 1, Chiron 1, Manila just over 1. So this is the average time that it takes from the time that the call goes out until they arrive on scene. So the average time for the entire county, so you think of how many miles we've got going on around here. It's about 10.22 minutes in 2025 so far this year. It's at 8.7. Our goal for our EMS is that from the time that we're paged out to the time that they get in their vehicle and leave is less than 5 minutes. It is less than 3. Our response time in Denison is 5 minutes on average. So just as an FYI for those numbers. These are the number of CCMH calls by hour of the day. So you can kind of see as everybody wakes up in the daytime, the numbers do increase. So you can see that bell curve happen as well. It looks like 6 p.m. and 11 a.m. are our busiest times. 911 calls per day of the week. Weirdly, it's Monday. One would think it'd be on the weekends, but it's actually Monday. And in fact, when I was here in 2022, it was on Wednesday. These are the transfers for hour of the day. So you can see that the bell curve during the day as physicians are seeing patients and determining to transfer. And then this would be them side by side, the 911 and transfers per day of the week. So obviously Monday is our busiest day for both. And then you can see the bell curve for calls and transfers per hour of the day. I think this in lies the problem that you brought up. I do think that this was what causes the most concern. I could be wrong, but this is the overlapping 911 calls and mutual aid. So when CCMH either A, doesn't have a second ambulance, or that second ambulance is out on a transfer, this is the times that Dow City, Chiron, and Manila have had to respond. Or if there was a multi-vehicle victim situation that people, more help, mutual aid would be required. I don't think there's that many of them, but there are listed on here as well. So you can see the numbers escalate over the last few years. And then in this year so far, we've had 6. There was 2 on one day with the Green Bend incident that we had here recently. So you know the activities that we do. We have scholarships for both volunteers and employees. So when Chiron wanted to start being a transport service, they asked for us to sponsor. We sponsored 2 EMTs to go to school to get their EMTs. But we do this every year if anybody needs it. And we also do community events. We have hosted the EMS conference that was just a few weeks ago. Our staff do work in the ER to maintain and enhance their skills. So let's say somebody is struggling with intubation, they can work with our anesthesia provider, and get multiple intubations and be comfortable out in the community. You guys are in, uncontrolled environments, right? Dark, ambulance moving. We provide medical direction for all EMS in Crawford County. Here's the EMS personnel in our community. So for paid staff, we have 5 full-time paramedics. We have 5 PRN paramedics that actually pick up quite a few shifts. We have 7 full-time EMTs, 3 PRN. We have 6 nurse exempts. So those nurse exempts, we don't use them for 911s, we use them for transfer. So let's say we actually had to put together 2 transfer crews last week. That's how many transfers we had out of the organization on one of the days. So that allows us opportunity to be able to send, get our patients transferred to the city. We have 4 drivers. Val City on register was 7, Kyron has 6, and Manila has 10. We're actually pretty blessed in our community to have as many volunteers that we have. And you're right, it could be definitely an issue over time. The evolution of CCMH staffing, so this is where it has proposed the problem. We've really had to look at how we do staffing in multiple departments because people are different now. They do not want to take call, they don't want to work weekends, they don't want to do those things anymore. So we used to do 12-hour shifts. They'd work 3 12-hour duty shifts and 1 24-hour call. When we looked at how many times people called in sick and the days that they did, it was on their call time. We have 24-hour duty, and then we went to 24-hour duty with 12 or 24-hour call during busiest times, and transfer times, and they were the on-call people were guaranteed 6 hours of work time. Because sitting at the hospital and not getting paid while you're on call and away from your family, it was very hard for people to swallow, and it was hard to get people to stay or want to come here. Well, when that started to be an issue where they're going to other places because they want to work 2 24-hour shifts and just be done and get paid for those 24-hour shifts, whether they're doing runs or not, we were losing a couple staff to that. So it's like, okay, we have to change this. And so now we're up to 2 24-hour duty crews that are on staff. They're paid for the entire 24 hours. And obviously with that kind of model and over time, I mean, it's hard to get enough staff, right? Like I know that we think that we're special here and that we're doing something wrong, but we are not the only place that is struggling with medics. And it is a big issue across the entire United States. It's an issue locally. And not just here in Crawford County, it's in multiple places as well. But that is how we do staffing now. So we have 2 full-time paramedic positions open. We're always willing to hire more PRN paramedics and EMTs to have more flexibility for time off needs. This is how EMS is funded at CCMH. So we can levy 27 cents tax to assist with funding. If you look at our gross revenue last year, that is when we bill for runs for 911 and also for transfers. It was just over 1.3 million, almost 1.4. Our net revenue, so insurance companies time. I want to keep in mind that our community is a little bit different than a lot of other communities. We have an 11% uninsured rate. 11%. There is 11% of our population that does not have insurance. So us getting paid for some of these runs is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Medicare and Medicaid, their reimbursement for ambulance runs is dismal at best. So you can see we build this, but we only received, our net revenue is $474,543. With our taxing levy that we do, if we received a tax income of $375,000 and our expenses were 1.4. I want you to, and our net loss ended up being $639,000 in fiscal year 25. That will go up this year because if you remember, I had people on call before and I was only paying call pay and then they get callback pay. Now I'm paying them to be there 24/7 and paid for the entire time that they're there. My costs will go up almost 300,000 just with that alone. So our loss this probably next fiscal year will be about 900,000. And keep in mind, that doesn't include it, we're due to have purchase another ambulance. And so that back in the day when I first started with about 150, 180,000, now we're up to almost $400,000 for a new ambulance, about 350 to 400,000.
And to be
Yeah.
fair to the assembly,
Yeah.
I don't know how much more do you have left here.
I think we need to talk about what other counties are struggling with, because this is what's really been on our mind, the biggest part. So Ida County went through the essential service. They really struggled with EMS. They continue to struggle. They are able to cover the 911, but they're not able to do their transfers. Carroll County, the CEO and I have been in contact quite a bit. They were told, because they do not have enough staffing in Carroll County to do their transfers, that they on after hours and on weekends, they can't do transfers. Okay, so Carroll County's struggling with that. That's the same thing that we have going on. They're struggling with staffing. We're struggling with staffing. So Shelby County, they have become an essential service as well. And they have reapproached the CEO of the hospital and asked them for more money because they're not able to make it work financially. Harrison County, they actually use a private entity. So Shelby County had a private entity, and then they went bankrupt, and then that's when they ended up with essential service with the county running it because they needed to. Harrison County, they also struggled with EMS, so they actually partner with, I think, a couple counties or a couple communities, and they're using a private entity. I believe it's Midwest. They struggle with their transfers as well. I hosted a CEO forum with legislators, and every single one of them struggled getting patients out the door with transfers. I don't have that trouble right now because I'm able to put that together, and I am just not comfortable. I'm not comfortable not being able to do that. And so and right now we have the ability. And so I think what we have here truly is a people issue. And we've had the lack of EMS leadership. And I'm first to admit, hospital, I think that people expect us to take the lead with us being the paid EMS ambulance, and we've not done a great job of that over the years. I'm the first to admit. And that, in fact, I think leadership really does affect the collaboration. And so how can we do this better? Absolutely. I think CCMH is 100% on board. What that looks like, I don't know. But you're right. We do need to support the volunteer services. And I understand the frustration that we don't have a second crew. You all get called away from your jobs, having to come into the Denison community and do that. I get that. I understand that. How do we fix the issue?
I think that's where we're going here.
Right, that's exactly what I mean.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Got a hand up on Zoom?
We have to-
No.
we have to say who they are.
Could you please state who you are?
We have to sign it in.
Yes, this is Corey Truckee. I'm the Ida County EMS director.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And I just wanted to chime in and say, we did pass essential services. It was never presented to be a cure-all, fix-all for every single problem, but I really kind of think it's inaccurate to say that we're having major struggles and that we can't take transfers. That's just not representative of what's going on up here. Anybody who thinks essential service passing is a magic bullet that fixes every problem is completely unrealistic. But I just couldn't let that sit. We're not perfect. No one else is perfect, but I don't think it's fair to say that we're not taking transfers, that we're unable to do that, and that we're experiencing significant struggles.
okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, I'm Michelle Simons, Mayor of Westside and EMT over there. We haven't had Crawford County ambulance service for our community and fire district in 4 years. At least 3 or 4, and we're paying Carroll County to do our services. And we're not getting reimbursed from anybody. We're paying that out of our fundraising. The city paid it the first year. The rest of the time, the fire department's been paying for it. Started back in 2020, kind of to help relieve Crawford County ambulance for during COVID, so that their ambulance wouldn't be out of service as long if they came over to our fire district to transport somebody that went to Carroll, which I understand a lot of people in our community do go over to Carroll, so that does make sense. However, again, we're not getting reimbursed for what we pay to have an additional ambulance service, even though the people in our community are paying tax dollars that go to the ambulance service we're not even using. So there's that. So our runs or 911 calls that come through shouldn't even be a factor in the spreadsheet. Also, everything that we do for EMS, fire, all comes from either fundraising or from our townships. We, as a city, and any city if you have a volunteer service, cannot tax for any services as far as public safety. So we pay for law enforcement out of our general fund. We pay for anything that usually goes on with the fire department. We're the ones that buy the trucks, the city does, and everything else. And we're not allowed to tax our people. So the essential services, the good thing that would come out of it is that we would have the opportunity, if we don't transport, each volunteer fire department would at least get $5,000 out of it. And if you do transport, they would get 10. That is the only funding that we are allowed to even remotely get. That's not outside, again, out of the city supporting it or fundraising for townships. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it would be built into, you know, the plan of what each department could get if you are transport. So it's just the way we kind of look at it is it's out of the best interest for most people to vote for this, because it's going to come down to the point that, like you guys said, that here in 5-10 years, you may not have the volunteers that are going to want to continue to support the community. And right now, if we didn't have a volunteer staff to be the first on scene, it would be roughly 40 minutes before you were in a hospital facility if something did happen, because we're located in the county, either direction. Whether we have Carroll coming up or if we have Crawford coming up, it doesn't matter. We're 40 minutes before you're in a health facility for higher care. So we need our volunteers, but we also need to be able to fund the training, the equipment, and everything else that it takes in order to keep it going.
Yep. So this task force will together.
Hopefully that's what all this is gonna put together, so that we can present that to the public on more occasions than just today.
And then also with the coming, if the volunteer fire departments or EMS, if they're being basically considered for second call ambulance out of the hospital or whatever, if they don't have a second call, are they getting paid for their transfers, for them showing up on site? Are they getting reimbursed for that?
Currently,
Yeah.
I
What
don't,
was the question again, Michelle?
If you guys respond to something because the hospital is unable to or whatever, you're kind of considered the second call. Are you guys getting reimbursed from the hospital for making that call?
Zero,
Okay,
nothing.
okay.
Thank you.
I guess we're in a lull here.
Nope.
So
Anybody else?
Anybody?
Hand up on there.
Rachel,
Sign Rachel in, please.
Rachel Burns.
Juice, but keep calling me. This is Rachel Burns.
go ahead. You got your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I just would speak to that briefly. I was a service director for the Chiron ambulance for 10 years. And we don't receive reimbursement for working as part of the county's help as needed on to 911. We can and do bill insurance, and so that's an option when appropriate and when payable. But Aaron's already talked about those rates, especially for Medicaid and Medicare. So hopefully that answers that question. We do receive some support on replacement items, consumable items from the hospital. But we also wrote a $1,000 check this month to the pharmacy at the hospital for medications to stock our ambulance.
Okay,
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
it's not cheap.
No, it's not.
No, it's not cheap.
All right. Any more comments?
Anybody else? careful, you're back to rubbing your head, I about gave you the bid.
Yeah. It's like being at an auction, sit on your hands.
Yeah. We'll get called on.
That's right.
If no further comments, I would, going once, twice. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to close the public
I'll
hearings.
make that motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Gene, seconded by Dave to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I will take action on resolution 2026-10. This is where I'm confused because it says fourth reading up there with third action. We have the fourth reading, this is the third action. Okay. All right, so this will be the third and final action. So I'd entertain a motion for this third action.
I believe we need to have this resolution in place so that we can start the process of seeing what it's going to look like in Crawford County, so that we can figure out what rate we need to charge to make sure that we can take care of things and really get that need that we have out there, everybody talking about it and getting the conversation going. So I would make the motion that we approve the resolution 2026-10 to be able to set up our advisory board to get all the information we need to look forward to what it's going to look like in Crawford County.
Advisory council.
Advisory
Right, that's
council.
correct.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
One clarification, setting the advisory council that is set by the Board of Supervisors.
Correct.
Who's on there,
Correct. You
That's
decide
correct.
how many,
and we decide how many and who's on
where
there.
they come from, and they will report according to Colin, reading the Iowa code and our resolution itself. They would bring back the recommendations. And do we have a date in which we would want the
You can set one today.
I don't,
I don't think we're
I don't
prepared
know
to
if
do
we're-
a date.
Probably
No,
better
you
get
don't
a-
have to.
probably better get a committee first and then,
Let's give them some
yeah.
time to get some stuff worked through. I think it's, if I could speak, sir. This has been a ongoing struggle well before I was on the Board of Supervisors. I can remember my wife worked at the hospital on that hill when she was helping in household services or whatever they called them at that time. And I remember her bringing up to my attention that there were struggles with the emergency service people out there back in those days. So I think this is something where we just, Aaron brought it up, leadership, but also communication. I think we all gotta be better at talking through things and be able to accomplish or direct our goals, direct our efforts towards our goals. And I think our goals are the same. When I listen to you guys privately, I hear the same goals. Taking care of the folks is your primary concern. I don't believe that there's anybody that volunteers, whether it's for the fire service or whether it's for the EMS or any other thing that we volunteer for in our community. I mean, nobody's after a big check, but they gotta be able to sustain their operations. And they gotta feel like they matter. And that's how you can recruit people. So I think that needs to be the effort that this council will work to get accomplished and bring to bear, so where we can create an EMS or this emergency service that we're proud of. And actually, when I was talking it over with my wife last night, I've said this a few times before, but last night when I said to her, I said, it would be neat, because I think that we have the wisdom on both sides of the coin, and now we have the determination to actually be the shining example in the state of Iowa on how it can be done right. I had brought up that I don't, Aaron, I think you were expressing where there was a couple of them that had issues, but I is kind of a new emergency service, so I think they need to be given some grace in that they're building their force. And it's a small county, so I mean, they're gonna have to work even harder to find enough people to equip themselves. But I think we could be an example if we all work together on how it's done right, because we've got some great people involved in this. And I sit and listen to the EMS side, and so I know there's good people in that room. And I think there's good people in the hospital, where whenever I get a chance to listen to them, they actually put some plans together. We just gotta start executing. We've gotta start moving on our goal. So that's why I think this is important, Jamie.
Yep.
I think it's important that we actually do this, start the commission, or excuse me, the council, and get moving in that direction, get some of our best people that we can put on there. I'd like to bring out that something that was brought up to me. I would also like to have 2 residents that aren't involved in the hospital or the EMS on this council. I think it's a great idea, but we'd have to really work. I think we're gonna have to work really hard to find the right people to work with you that gives the citizens input on it, you know, like what Lloyd brought up there. You know, he's a concerned citizen from the aspect that he's got a set income. So if we have people that are actually bringing them things to the table, so that we're always discussing and trying to find the best way forward for the health and protection of the county and the finances of the county. I think that everybody's got all them things in mind, but it's good to have those kind of people involved as well. So I think that was a good suggestion that got brought to me in the throes of all of this. And I still think that the commission, we need to sit down and visit with you guys a little bit too on each side of this, whether it's the full-times or the volunteers. And then I would like to see you remain an advisor to the council, not necessarily on the council. I would like to see you, because that's what EMA is the guys that organizes the elements and brings them together. And to develop the leadership that we need in this. And so that's for me. And I'm just bringing that's my input. Obviously, we're gonna have discussions on this quite intensely, I'm sure. So, John?
Just a suggestion, can we just go ahead and set a date and time? So it's, I mean, whether it's a week or 2 weeks from now, it's not gonna take that long to get a list of names together.
To put together the council.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah,
Instead of leaving it open, let's just put a date and time to it today.
When the council will be formed.
we could do that.
We can do
That
that.
could easily be done. I think the one they were talking about earlier was the date for when they had to report to us. That's the one we're gonna leave you guys time.
Gotcha.
Okay, I think, but to put the council together, I don't think that's. I mean, to find that 2 people that would actually work with you guys and not just be there to say, no, that cost him, no, that cost him. No, why does it work? Why does it matter? Because if you can explain it to them, then you'll be able to get the whole county involved. You know what I'm getting at? Does that make sense? I hope it
No,
does.
I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, so,
Joe, you got something?
Well, put Lloyd on the spot. Lloyd, are you interested in serving on this board? Give him a name.
Well,
We'll write it down.
what,
You say you would?
Yeah,
they said, you know,
yes.
He's interested, but
Keep it on
we'll,
track. We do have a motion and a second on the table.
yeah,
I just wanted to give that input as a discussion point so that everybody knows what we're thinking as the supervisor to try to help make this work for y'all.
any further discussion in regards to this? I think this is the vote in regards to the resolution.
Yep.
Hearing no other, we'll proceed to vote all resolutions, so it'll be a roll call vote. Mix it up a little bit. Ty?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Gene?
I,
Chair votes aye, so that resolution passes. Now, we had to debate if we had to read all that. I think everybody knows what the resolution is. If anybody wants it to be read aloud, Gene said she'd read it.
I will get you all a copy. Running back.
But with that, I think, I know Ty and I discussed at length last night over the phone that if the hospital would put a list together of people they would like to have representation, and the EMS Association would have a list of people that they would like to maybe have a representative on this commission and submit it to the Board of Supervisors so we can use those names to help us put our commission together. Our council together would be greatly appreciated.
You thinking of
I don't mean,
8 people, 10 people?
well, we haven't decided as a group yet. We're still,
We don't want to get too many cooks in the
Yeah,
broth either.
yeah,
You know, we just want some of the wisest people everybody can offer us, you know, I mean, wisest on this subject matter.
you know, this is, yeah, it's gonna be a group of people that can get stuff done, and in my eyes, that are decision makers and have
Did you
or would
envision?
have the knowledge and the data or whatever they need to come together and get down, because I mean, all in all, it's gonna be on, it's either gonna be on the ballot or it's not gonna be on the ballot come November, so there's not gonna be a lot of time to hash things over for months and months on end, so.
And I don't think it even has to be this year. Let the council work on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be at the council speed, but, you know, Gene?
Are you thinking about 2 from the hospital, 2 from the volunteers, 2 supervisors and 2 from the citizens possibly, or?
That's to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna get a big number of people
Well,
on there,
that's
cause you
it.
get too many on there and
That's
the decisions would be hard to come by.
All right, well, that was just kind of a suggestion.
So
So
that's my opinion.
let's see what we get for
If
names.
that would work, we get those numbers or those list of people. I mean, okay,
Okay,
I mean,
Resolution.
give us a list to choose from, I guess,
All right.
so.
sounds good.
Or some alternates or something, I
That work
don't
for everybody else?
Yeah, and thank you guys for listening to us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for
No,
coming.
thanks for everybody
Thanks for
bringing their
everybody
input. I think it was
We
valuable.
could have this many people.
For all of
Yeah. I wish you'd all come every week and give us some input.
Yeah, we keep chairs for people here for a reason.
We need more chairs.
Well, I'm just
But that
saying-
shows you the support that's behind.
Yes,
Yeah, I agree.
absolutely.
I agree, John.
We appreciate it. The resolution's been passed, and so now we get the hard
We'll
work
get the
going,
council put
Yep.
together and we'll keep moving on it,
Yep.
so,
get the information out there to the people.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Zach?
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You're welcome to stay the rest of the meeting. if you want.
I'm sure it will be riveting.
Well, Zach's up again.
Has Gene call you? Gene call Roger.
Oh, yeah, I called you once, but are you gonna
Would
be
you quit
down
coming
there
back to this
afterwards?
table?
Cause I've got some
I know we
stuff to
settled
talk
this
to you about.
Yeah.
I'll be down.
Oh, this is a different one.
Oh, yeah, those T-Mobile.
This is good stuff here.
This is good stuff.
What do you got, Zach?
So, T-Mobile reached out, so they bought all of US Cellular's towers, equipment, stuff like that. They reached out and they are interested in putting a site up on this tower here. So I had them do a structural analysis with our engineer out of Omaha. He emailed back and stated T-Mobile has the approval to proceed with the installation of their equipment. I asked him what a lease would be, and what a lease would look like. I've got the attachment here. Colin kind of briefly reviewed it, so they're offering $1,550 per month, so that'd be $18,600 a year to be on our tower. So. And restriction can handle that. Yeah, yep. I have the.
Our engineers already checked.
Yep. That's the email from our engineer, if anybody would like to read it. Sure. So, I highlighted that the part where he stated that it could hold the load, so.
Some good competition in the county won't hurt a thing.
That he.
Kind of looking back at our last contract, maybe a good thing we went the way we did.
100%.
Dig, dig, dig.
So then I also offered them all the other towers that we have too, so they're gonna start looking at those as well.
Yeah, we have good times.
So are you looking to
So-
proceed today, or do you wanna wait, and Colin just briefly look through it?
So I would say Colin can look through the entire lease. They essentially need, I know it's not an action item on the agenda today.
Oh, it
Or is
says
it?
it could.
This one has to take
We
that?
can,
Okay.
we don't have to.
They just need, essentially to get things kind of kickstarted, they would need approval from you guys that you are okay with putting their equipment onto the tower. And then that'll kind of kickstart the conversation with the
But it
lease.
doesn't lock us into anything with the lease. That's a
That's what, yeah, I mean, once it's on there.
Right, yeah, so the lease doesn't even have any names or anything like that wrote into it yet. So the lease has not been drafted. This is just more of a approval, yes, we want further conversations to my knowledge.
Martha, what would you, I mean, by giving them permission to start hanging equipment without a lease in place?
I have not paid attention to this
Okay.
discussion yet.
Well, now Colin, now the boss man's in here, so.
So I looked at that cursory, Zach handed that to me when we were talking about the EMS. I mean, it seems pretty much in line with previous leases. There is some review that I want to do with the, it was hard to digest as I stood there to read it, the initial contract term and the renewal. It seems like section 1 and section 5A were almost, I don't know, duplicative. So there was, the option term refers to 5A, and it says that it shall begin on the option term, and then you go to 5A. So the term of lease commences on their exercise of the option. So, I mean, I just want to kind of go over that. It just seems like the term either starts or doesn't start depending on when they exercise the option, but when the contract hasn't even been signed yet, typically there would just be the start date, and not an option to start the date. But maybe I just didn't read it right as I stood there. But other than that,
I guess my concern was what Zach's asking us to do today, and I'm not necessarily against this, giving them the okay to start hanging equipment on our tower without a signed contract, because once their equipment's on there,
oh, that would,
that'd be kind of a hard.
is that what they're asking for, Zach?
They're essentially approval to do the equipment. They didn't say anything about having a lease in person.
That'd be kind of a hard deal once their equipment would be potentially on there, and then they might be kind of more in the driver's seat on.
Well, the terms of the lease outline what they can hang, and we have to run it by our guy with our structural engineering.
That's been done.
Oh, that's been done.
Or I could reply back to T-Mobile and say, you know.
We're highly in favor of it.
Can that motion be?
We want a lease in place before anything.
Yeah, but as far as like liability, insurance coverage,
But I think what they're doing is trying to make sure that they don't need to go look for another tower, because if we're absolutely not in favor of it, then we're done.
Right.
And they're gonna start looking for someplace else. And so what they're saying is, are you guys interested? And so that they can stop looking is the way I would see it. So I think the motion could include that we're interested, that we have room and we've done the structural study, but we need to work out the details. And if we can't work out details, you can't put it on, but you can stop looking.
the terms of lease outline.
Yeah,
It
that's,
seems like they want a head start on what the terms of lease will be without the coverage that the lease would offer as far as insurance, indemnity, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be important to the county to have that coverage before work begins on the project.
Yeah.
I think, like Gene said, I think a motion to show that we're willing to move ahead with this project, that but nothing will commence until a lease is in place.
Pending lease agreement.
And a lease agreement,
satisfactory lease agreement.
I think would be, maybe that's all they're looking for, and that's all, as a board, I think we're willing to
Satisfactory lease.
put forth today.
Stop looking, we got room, we can hold it, and we're more than interested in getting some more revenue off of that tower, so I would hate to have them start looking someplace else.
Right. Well, I like the revenue, but I'd like to generate the competition in the county. That's what I
So we're
thought.
getting them both.
But I agree with Kyle. I share his concerns that you just say, yep, I'll go ahead and we have no lease
Yeah, no,
or
you-
contract in place.
Yep.
Where's that gonna put us?
Gotta cover ourselves.
Absolutely.
I seen that with some farm ground one year, not too many years ago, a gentleman that was in the NFL bought a nice piece of timber, and he had an unsigned contract with a farmer, and he went in and cleared the timber off of it so he could farm it. But the guy at the NFL, he wanted it for hunting reasons, so,
A little bit of a war on that deal.
you know, so stuff, until you communicate directly what you want,
The devil's in the details.
the devil's in the details. So I would entertain a motion to instruct Zach to communicate with T-Mobile that we are interested in proceeding, but we will not.
Engineering's been cleared.
Engineering's been cleared, but we will not.
T-Mobile knows that too, because they sent structural analysis to T-Mobile.
No work will be commenced until a suitable contract is in place.
Mutually satisfactory agreement
Yeah.
and lease is in place. Okay,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, cool.
All right, we're getting easier for you.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Just takes 4 months.
We've got 6 more towers. Let them know.
Yeah, you're kind of making.
We'll get us.
Right, yes.
All right, Paul's on his way up for the next 2
Okay.
items.
Yeah, I've been out of commission a little bit.
Thanks, Tom.
Almost
I
do
guess
it.
while we're waiting for him, we could jump to the zoning job description. Just pass, or
I read it.
I read it, Tim's read it, Chelsea's read it. It meets, I sent an email recommending we move forward with it, so I think we can entertain a motion to.
I'd make the motion to go with that zoning job description.
Second.
All right.
Any further discussion?
No, I think it's a good thing to have in place.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Come on down.
Who made the motion?
I
Ty,
did.
This is when your shorthand comes in real handy.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
I guess we brought you up here to have some professional input in regards to our abatement program in the commercial and residential property. I know we discussed this clear back in probably late November, early December already. I'll talk a little louder.
That's why we got that order. Very happy to.
And I think the major change is we just need to update some values in them. They're kind of antiquated values, clear going back to 2014. Especially in the, well, at both of them, just both of them are. So I know last night I did some math on the residential one and with just a you're drawing blank all of a sudden, but just putting a factor of a CPI or whatever inflation.
Inflationary index.
Yep, it would come up to about 100,000, would be about 137,600 some dollars. So let's put a little cushion into it, in my opinion, just round it up to 150,000 for the residential one. Maybe that's not even enough even today, because you can't put a house up for 150,000.
Honestly, I would say that the construction has gone up way more than 50% since 2014.
You're not wrong.
You know,
I would challenge somebody to put up a house for $150,000.
Put up a garage for them.
If they can, I want the blueprint for one.
that'd be a nice she shed, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Gene?
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. One room. That's all I know.
So, but I'm not saying it is not possible to do if you do a lot of the work yourself and, you know, but you're not gonna get it done in the year's time. I think that this states in here, I believe there is a time frame that it stated that it had to be completed.
I've not taken the time to read through the abatement application or the parameters that surround what goes on here in Crawford County.
Question, and just thinking out loud popped in my mind. The Region 12 homes for Iowa homes that we have, you know, they, don't quote me, but 250,000.
With prop, I think it seems like they were 190 to build the place, and then you got property and plumbing and
Foundation.
Include the basement as well.
Depending on what they want to do. We have had those as part of our abatements in the past.
I'm sure. Well, we've never had one built in the rural. I don't think we had one in rural areas.
I don't think we had one.
it's just been like the Denison ones and stuff, you know.
Pretty much Denison's got one and that's all they have too.
Jefferson's.
And I guess I'm using that as a point of reference, like, as we set an amount. You know, 150, like, so that's pretty low, but I wouldn't want to be able to exclude them either, because
that's my thought.
Improvements are improvements.
Is that the structures are constructed by the prison? Okay. Okay. There's actually a new one has been built in Slushwick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But that's their abatement deal.
Right. Well, you mentioned it here in Denison. being a home.
We have one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one up.
Avenue C, on our triangular lot that we thought we'd never have a house on.
So I guess it'd be the pleasure of the group, but I understand, yeah, 150,000 seems low, but yet I'd hate to exclude somebody that is pretty sharp with a pencil and pretty handy that can get it done for that.
Well, here's the thing to keep in mind, that you can build something, if you do it yourself, for $150,000. I'm not going to assess it at that amount. On the other side, you can build something for $1 million. What's the market going to bear?
Right.
You know, the market going to bear $1 million house or $2 or $3 million houses in Crawford County. So that being said, you know, as far with valuing property using the Iowa Property Appraisal Manual, which we by code are charged to do, those areas of construction include not only materials, but also labor. And your labor is cheap when you're doing it yourself, but if somebody else is doing the work for you, you're gonna pay them. And that's part of the cost approach, is not only materials, but also labor. So they might say that, well, we got 125 in it today, that's materials only. But from my perspective, you know, you've got your labor in there, and that as an owner, you can build it yourself if you want to, if you've got the ability to do that. Which is going to save you money on the front end, but when it comes time to sell,
you're going to want that money.
Do you work for free?
You're going to want that money back.
I guess if I would read more carefully, it says on assessed minimum. It's not total, not construction costs. It's the assessed minimum.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, as we're talking about that, you know, I would say to be sure always. In fact, I'm going to include, you know, labor as part of the cost of construction, whether it's being provided by an outside source or the individual themselves.
Okay, so it wouldn't matter if it really comes down to what the assessed value of that home is, as far as comparables and like sales of that type of structure, so.
And you're talking about residential at this point.
This is the residential one, so.
Not about the commercial.
And, I don't want what pleasure the group was. I mean, I think this is the only thing that we were ever talking about changing at this point was that value.
I'm building a new construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, 150 doesn't bother me. I don't.
Assessed value.
Yeah.
And this is your program.
Yep.
I just received them.
Sure.
Bring them to you for approval.
I think that would cover pretty much.
I mean, you got them people that build tiny homes.
Yes.
I don't know what them cost. I've never ever, do we even have one? But you know something? You know, I remember Kenny had his cabin out there at his lake. You know, you could build a tiny home out of something like that, you know, and to live out there if you wanted to, or his lake is.
Can you get
his farm pond.
Is it the abatement
We
for
call
a
it the
second
lake.
home?
No, well, I guess I
I would
don't.
look at it as new construction, you're adding value, and it goes, the premise also, as far as abatements are concerned, you have to raise the value more than 10% from the original assessed value. That's where if somebody were to come in and say there's an existing structure and it had a value of, let's say let's say it's $150,000. Okay, you come in January, 1st of February and tear the house down. It was there assessed, and we'll say it's livable January the 1st, but because it's your house, you're the owner, you can do with that property what you want to do. And if it's your decision to tear that house down after the 1st of the year, we're going to value it based on its condition January the 1st. Come February the 1st, you decide that, well, I mean, of course, you've done the homework and you made these decisions way in advance, but you tear that house down February the 1st, that value was set, and because the structure was there and the plan was for it to be there for the entire year, it was your decision to tear it down. This is on February the 1st. That value, so that sets the foundation of value. Okay, the base, shall we call it? All right. So in that case, if that house is valued at 150 grand, your new value on your new structure that you're building, that you're going to get abatement on, has got to be the 150 plus
10%.
No, plus 150. If you go to 150 or 100, so your new value's got to be over $300,000 with this new number we're talking about today. If it's all constructed in this year and we go off the premise
construction, yes, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yes, and we go off the premise that it would be all done in that one calendar year. Now, if it stretches over and say you tore that house down mid-year and we remove the value for 1/1 of that following year and it has about zero value, then you start your construction that following year, then you're at zero.
You're at zero.
Okay, for your abated amount. So then it's all included. There's no foundation, there's no base. That's the thing I guess that owners need to keep in mind is that if you're tearing something down, okay, that value where it was there January the 1st, that can't go away, because if you think about living authorities, you know, they expect those dollars to be static, and then once that value is set, it doesn't change. It can't change. It can't be taken backwards, okay, and abated so that value is then removed from taxation. That value's got to stay. And even if you have construction going on, so when construction goes on that same year, you can't remove that, and then you know, add the construction, but then you get abated. That can't work. And the system's not set up to be like that. It's set up to only abate new value. You can't abate old value. Is my point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Clear on that?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I never thought of it that way.
Never thought of it that way.
But that, 'cause, you know, I don't think we've had it for a while, but years back, we've had additions that exceeded this amount and we abated them. So that would be the exact same thing.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
One more.
Well, it would. I mean, I think there was an addition we abated that just basically enshrine the old house. And,
Yeah.
you know, just, you don't even notice the old house was even there.
Yeah.
I think the last one we did was, Sam Lee's old house out in the country. We abated the addition to it. So,
And you have additions that are substantial in cost and substantial in adding value that would meet this threshold.
Yep, and I think you see a number of people doing that when they look at the cost of building new versus a major remodel.
And they just want to keep the old house because it's got value and.
Sure. I had to keep my fireplace. Chicago Livestock Exchange Building. Where all the bricks came from. I don't think that adds any extra value to it, though.
I think 150
for you.
Is a.
Will the market
You
reflect
want
that?
to,
What's that?
Will the market reflect that?
I hope so. For me. I mean, I don't think it would for anybody else.
Oh.
You take it with you. You go to the
I was a
home.
little kid when I first went out there. I don't think it mattered to anybody else.
So we need a.
What is this good? This is good for 10 years? Does it say?
Because we haven't.
well, what did it say that in there, that this has to be looked at every so many
I
years?
think it's 10 years.
10
Yeah,
years.
that's where, I mean, typically these are set to be for 10 years
Okay.
and then renewed.
Have you ever seen Paul on something like this? So
we did
let's
that
say this
expire.
abatement is good for 10 years.
Well, this would have
but
been expired in.
We know how inflation goes.
2024,
If they ever
and it
tied
just
on,
automatically-
okay, let's say we reset it at 150,000, but
Start it as of
tie on every year, we're gonna add
People got abatements going into.
the
I've not, no.
average inflation or.
Yeah, in fact, the CPI.
Yeah.
I've not seen that. It's been a static number. Typically what I've seen in the past, was been my experience, in Ames, it was everything. There was no minimum amount spent, or assessed. Excuse me for saying that, with the exception of what the law says, and it's 10% on residential, increase in valuation. 15, I think, I believe it's 15% increase in valuation on commercial property. So short of that, in Ames, there was no minimum, okay? In Boone County, it was actually, not the county, but actually the cities, Ogden and the city of Boone both, they would abate the first $75,000 of increase in value. And they just went through the same process you folks are doing here for the city of Boone. And I believe they changed theirs from 75 to 100 and a quarter.
It's a hard and fast.
And anything over the 100 and a quarter was not abated. Whereas here, if you spend or you increase the value by a minimum of 100,000, it's all abated. And that's what the threshold is. So that's been my experience, and the changes have not been, what I've seen, have not been tied in with the CPI. That would be problematic. I mean, you have to build that in, of course, to your resolution if you decided to do something like that. But you could stair step that. I mean, like do a little bit of forecasting and see what's historically happened, and maybe set in the resolution that the increase goes to, if you set it at 150 and 300 for 150 for residential and 300 for commercial, maybe in 5 years it goes to 200.
Kind of speak of future boards there.
Yeah, we are, and I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I just know that, we have one,
Has a new resolution. You just have to
it
make an
goes,
amendment to this
cost
resolution.
go way up. but-
Can we amend those at some point in time if they appear to not be?
That'd be a question for me. This is not an attorney hat.
Yeah, I got an attorney back there, but she's not paying attention.
I'm pretty sure we would have to make an amendment to this resolution. That's all we need to do. We don't have to pass a new resolution. We just gotta make amendments to this resolution of these numbers.
Okay.
So,
If the resolution's in place, we're just gonna
Future
amend.
boards could amend it then.
Yeah.
but does it say that it automatically renewed for another 10 years? Is that specifically?
Well, I was trying to read where it even said it
I don't
was.
think you
Is
set up to be automatically renewals.
That to me is gray because it expired in 2024.
Yeah.
We did not go in and renew it. So by us making an amendment to one that's actually expired, we could find ourselves in a place where that's not even valid anymore because it had an expiration date and it doesn't say it automatically renewed.
Yeah.
So are we just,
It's been my experience with these, again, primarily from Boone, that even though it wasn't renewed timely, the original agreement was in place, and because it wasn't expired or expunged,
Yeah.
they continued,
Okay.
and they allowed abatements to occur, all right? But then they reset. I wasn't disinvolved in their discussions.
Sure.
So I can't give you any advice as to
well,
how they handled it.
I feel like we should do this right since it's in
Oh,
front of us.
I was gonna agree with that.
Yeah, if it had a 10-year expiration or sunset, whatever you want to call it, and it's 2026, for us to amend this one, we'd have to address the actual date that it was expired and either start a new one or do some more tweaking to this one. Because we're basically amending one that's already expired in my unlawyer opinion.
I would let your legal counsel address that.
We might have to wait to make sure that we're doing the right thing and not just kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit.
Good point, Gene. Because I'm trying to read through here briefly and see
That's hard.
when it shows many a times when it was adopted, but
It could be that the code refers to the length of term for these, and may have been built into
within the
the language.
unincorporated boundaries as established and existing between July 1st and June 30th of 2018 will be and is hereby declared pursuant. Then in back, it says it may be additional 5 years. So I don't know. So yeah, we probably need to seek some legal counsel on this, but with these additions.
Yeah, and updating the values.
The values and the date and.
Yeah.
Paul, in your professional opinion, do you feel like these type of abatements truly help spur new growth?
That's a great question. I'm gonna actually bounce that question off of Gene. Because if I understand correctly, Gene has just constructed a new house. I don't know, is there an abatement program in Slushman? So there was there's no special treatment for her to build a new house in Slushway. She could have built it.
The lot was one that belonged to my cousin, so I got a good deal on the lot.
Okay.
And so it's, that was his big.
I would say that, I really don't, I mean, part of me says yes, part of me says no.
As an old mortgage lender, I feel like people did kind of decide to build a house where there was a tax abatement. And I do know of several houses that were built primarily to get something built in town, and then they planned on moving it, putting on the market as soon as the.
And I would echo that statement, because I've actually heard that we had abatement again in Madrid, in Boone, and a lot of folks would say they wanted to build a new house, and we actually saw that occur several times where wouldn't call it house hopping, but they would build a house, be in there for a few years, and receive the benefit of the abatement, and close to the time when the abatement was being phased out, they would build a new house.
Because they're both handy, and they really love the challenge of building a new house, and they built that house, and then as they lived in it, they decided things that they wanted to change to the new one, but they didn't pay for that.
But it helped build housing. in your
And then that house,
community. So that's
because
worth
it was custom built and everybody liked it.
I'm not saying I'm against this, I'm just.
No, I mean, that was a
But
good
it doesn't-
question that led to this.
Absolutely, but it doesn't hurt us as a county to have it out there. What it does do, if it only spurs 2 people to build a new house in the county, it's worth the paper that we wrote it on.
Well, I'm trying to think back prior to 2014, how many houses were being built in the rural areas versus now, and I can't answer that. So. But apparently the board back at that time thought this was needed. Otherwise they wouldn't have went down.
To help spur development.
Yeah. If I didn't get such a good deal on the lot, I don't know where I would have
So.
When did you build your new one?
2007, so.
Oh, so you were ahead of that.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything for you.
No, and it didn't affect if I was gonna do it or not.
And one of the things that I think about, if I were a prospective builder or, buyer, I should say, that, initially getting into a home, it's expensive, I mean, especially today, in today's economy.
Crazy.
And the idea of not having to pay property tax, granted, there's a built-in delay, shall we say, in property tax burden that is on a house just as it is. The fact that I mentioned earlier about the valuation date, you build a new house, say somebody built a new house this past year in 25, its first assessment is 1/1/26. Okay, so it was all built and done in 2025 calendar year. You're living in there today. We assessed it as a 1/1/26. You don't pay tax on that 1/1/26 valuation until the fall of 27. Okay, so you lived in it for almost 2 years before you pay your first tax bill. So that initial startup of either the business or living in a house, that cost of living there is delayed as far as your property tax bill is concerned for that period of time. What this does is actually delays that for another 3 years, effectively.
I think they're worth it myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as where we sit today, we want to get clarification from
Colin's
Colin's office.
Just a little tweaking is what we need.
We just need to make sure that we're doing it right. I
We'll
mean, we'll get
revisit
the
it.
right wording if we're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to come back and ask the board a question, just make sure I understand this. In the past, my office did not allow did not begin the abatement until the home was completed. Is that how the rule or how the resolution was laid out? And I'm asking that question with the idea that what I was used to, where I came from, that even though we work with a static date and substantial construction can be done in 1 year, yet the dwelling not be completed in that year. An additional substantial construction can occur in the following year. I'm of the opinion to allow, as long as it meets the threshold of the $100,000 or $150,000, as long as you're meeting that threshold of increase in valuation, to go ahead and allow that value to be abated, though that portion of the value starts its window of abatement for 3 years and stops at 3 years, then the portions of that that's added that following year, it also has 3 years. It ends the year after. So there's 2 years where that home would see a full abated value, 2 years where it would see a partial. No, it'll be a year where it's a partial on the end. I'm asking the board what their.
See what you're saying.
I think in the past, because we always you had to
We've always done it as a total project.
Total project being done, I don't want to build my.
and you had to have your application in before any major construction started.
Building permit.
Building permit, I mean.
Building
I underline that in
Building
here.
permit.
Yeah, and that's one too, where, again, my experience I had in Boone, we went to numerous houses where the folks didn't even know about the abatement.
Sure.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, they had the permit pulled, and the place where they got the permit from was the same place they got the abatement application from, which just confounded me to no end. Like, why don't you give the folks the abatement?
There should be a
application,
folder that says
You know,
here.
at the same time as the
Right.
permit.
thank you for building.
But it didn't happen. So I also have kind of got a problem with that part of your resolution where you require that the owner has the building permit filed prior to the application or to construction beginning. I think that there needs to be some grace given to that, where if they didn't know about the abatement program, that they're able to come in, later and file for that without, worry of losing, the abatement.
I want to say in my memory that previous boards they didn't want to have a new home built and 3 years later.
That's what sticks in my mind is why they worded that
Well,
way.
now, I mean, I understand that for sure.
Can you
Give
put
them a
it-
grace period, though, you mean, is that where you're at?
Well, I mean, within reason.
Right.
It's like I come out, our staff goes out to value a home and we had the dialogue with the owner and said, hey, it's filed for the tax abatement.
Maybe we just need to add some verbiage that the assessor can allow for flexibility in
Up
this.
to a certain amount of time.
I mean, because you're out there, we're not, I mean.
No, you folks aren't. No, we're the ones, we're the boots on the ground, so to speak, talk with the property owners.
Mhm.
And, in this day and age, you think that most folks would know about the labor programs, if there's something
I
that's.
just talked to one week and a half ago and I said, did you get a building permit for your new house? He just stared at me and blank eye and I'm like, and it's right along going up Schleswig and they're about putting siding on it, so. And I said, well, just stop down to the assessor's office and grab, and I said, there's a tax abatement. I said, I don't know, but I'm not gonna guarantee you get passed, but I said, it don't hurt to try, so.
It's out in the country, though.
I totally get what you're saying with approving it at the same time as your application and having that window. But I think you could have verbiage in there that doesn't allow for somebody 3 years down the road.
Yeah. Well, you read cover on that for sure. But because I think there's a little bit of, to me, I got a bit of confusion from the language that I've heard, this board talk about. And what I've seen in my office where if they didn't have one filed, they actually lost out a year. And you have codes, I've got to go back and find a section, but code allows them to have at least a year after construction to file for the abatement, typically. And it could be up to 2 years. And honestly, what happens if they don't, to your point, if they wait that long, there comes a point in time where they actually lose. They don't get the full, in this case, the full 3 years. They would lose, a year, 2 years. So I'd have to do some research.
That codes all could have changed in 2014 when this was put together, so we need to make sure we're not trying to fight Iowa code.
That's always fun.
Kind of a good point.
Local rule?
We do that.
Home rule, that don't even
Home
exist.
rule, that works.
Home rule. That's our, we
So
stand
we
there
will-
at the county line fighting for it, but boy,
Yeah,
boy,
I
we need more
appreciate
help.
that input, because I mean, we do definitely need to wanna make sure we're not doing that, and I think we need to put an effective start date of like July 1st of 2026. That means that's a clear cutoff that this were against, where here was the old time, now we start a new.
Yeah.
That way there's nobody coming in and saying, well, I
would use actually January the 1st.
Of 27.
Of probably 27, actually.
Okay.
Because from an
For your
assessment
point.
standpoint, yes.
As an assessment, yeah.
That's a line, and that's a line in the sand, and that's a statutory date of assessment that we could use. And it would be difficult to differentiate between, well, we started in June, we started in
Assess it at a
August.
different value.
Yeah, so yours is gonna be based on 100,000, yours will be 150. I'd rather have So the year, use the year, not the fiscal year, but the calendar year as the starting date.
Okay.
Good idea.
Well,
Okay, see?
well, yeah, that makes sense, cause.
Yep.
Can't believe they decided to start it mid-year, fiscal year, you know?
Nobody was advising
No.
anybody, and we just got lucky
Different-
that it didn't,
Things happen, different people in charge have different ideas, and there's like.
Well, that's the thing about that ties in with the legislature. You know, you need to have some foresight.
no kid, yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
You know, and unfortunately, without enough time to discuss and think about everything, and I'm sure there's topics that we're leaving out right now that need to be discussed about this process.
One of them that comes to my mind is, when do you call it complete?
Oh, you sound like some homeowners.
Well,
I'm asking for a reason.
I still don't have mine finished.
I still don't have the false
There's-
ceiling in
there's
the
still a
closet.
ceiling
Mine
tile.
mine is not finished.
The gunner's not done yet. We will look at structures
Yeah.
and we have a checklist, so to speak, based on these are the parameters, these are the features of the home that have percentages tied to them. And if this is done, and we'll go through that and look at that list, and we rely primarily on that. And if you're lacking your ceiling tile or your gutter, things like that, it's done. You know, you can play, we play that game, we can do that dance all you
I
want to.
know you can.
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
if you can live in it, you know, well, I personally, I kind of question that, because there's some, we won't go down that.
Yeah, I would not use that.
I know some people that I wouldn't be living in the
Yeah.
house, and they've done it for years.
I would
Yeah.
not use
Yeah.
that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So we get a little more things to dig into.
yep,
Little
that's,
bit.
yep, residential, yeah, yep, so in commercial, I think same difference, we just want about the dollar amount, probably need to be up to 300,000. And,
Oh, yeah.
and have a start date changed, and here again, have it challenged against any Iowa code or what have you.
Yeah.
Do them both at the same time.
Yep.
All right, do the tweaking and bring them back.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Good conversation.
Thank you, good to go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. One thing I want to bring up to the board, I should have taken care of this last week when I brought the impoundment structures up. I mentioned in my comments that we had one parcel that was not timely filed. I believe that needs to actually come up to the board and have them actually denied. It's in my office, and I've got a day stamped, I got the envelope with it when we received it. So I think that would be a good idea if the board actually went through the process and formally denied that petition, rather than I just hang on to, or not the petition, but the application.
So
And
then
I'll give
have
that to, next week or coming up.
Okay, all
You know. So I just want to give you guys a heads up on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else?
And that is
Nope.
officially in the county, because it's real, the city line is real close there, isn't it?
I don't know the exact parcel.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have to look up at
Yeah,
the
'cause
application and
It's
determine that,
real-
where it's located at.
Paul, can I ask you a quick question? Sure. You were at the spring conference last year with the assessors. And assessors, in your world, I mean, you dealt with abatements and this type of thing, residential, commercial. And I know there's a lot of talk about property tax changes at the state level.
mhm.
With what they're talking about, even though we don't know the full scope of what they're gonna do with property tax changes, you still see a need or a desire from counties, cities to go forward with abatements, even though they're looking at restricting property taxes in other ways.
There's been no talk in our.
And I didn't know if those two are at all ever talked about in the same conversation or tied together any.
They weren't talking about it as far as in our group conversations at ISAC. I will tell you that the legislature changed the laws, and part of the language you want to put in there, Kyle, in this new update is going to be that for commercial property, all new abatements have to have a minimum assessment agreement filed with commercial property abatements.
Ooh.
And residential abatements, the school portion is no longer abated.
Oh,
Right.
Do we need to have that added in?
That would, well, I put that on the forms, to let the property owners know that, and when we have dialogue with owners who come in and file for their abatements, that I've been sure to inform them that this is no longer a 100% abatement. It's the school's portion is going to continue, being taxed. So, the benefit.
Minimal.
Well, I mean, in the township, if you think about the school district, the school district is like 40% of the tax burden.
No, it ain't as much.
I think it's almost.
Is it 60?
I thought it was up there higher than that.
I happen to have.
Yeah, maybe I might be confusing that with the city might be like 40, and the city's 40 school, and then, I'm sorry, 40 school, 40 city, and 15 county. And
This is for Dickinson County, so that won't really hurt.
Do you know how much total tax dollars for like Crawford County is abated each year?
I do not. We could figure that. It takes some time. We could figure that out if you need it for us to.
Would you say we had to have on the commercial? The first thing you told me we needed to make sure is in our commercial.
We have to have a minimum assessment agreement.
Minimum assessment agreement.
And that will have to be recorded in the recorder's office. And that'd be recorded. And it doesn't matter whether it's, for the county or in the cities, any commercial property has to have that on file. And that started effective, I think, 1/1/25.
So that was this year?
Yes.
I guess that's
last year.
A year ago.
Or last year.
Yeah, and this is all part. If you guys remember that house file they passed a couple of years ago?
Which one?
718.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
This is part of that.
Good old 718.
It's an all encompassing bill. I'm afraid we're gonna have something like that come out again.
Omnibus bill?
This coming year.
All right. Well, anything else?
That's your question, Steve?
Well, I don't know, since you're here, I've got to just asking, I'm thinking, but, just looking at counties across the state are gonna be feeling the squeeze with the property tax changes, and if they add more exemptions, that further lower our revenue
Even further.
And then we look at giving out abatements for new homes or new construction on commercial or residential.
Anything built, I built for the rest of my life, so Dave.
I'm not saying I'm leaning one way or the other. I think the abatement has a good purpose, but I wonder how counties, if they'll start to go away from abatements because they feel the squeeze on other areas.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. And I'm afraid too,
It's a good point.
with what legislature's talking about as far as moving credits, like a homestead credit to an exemption, increasing the military credit, and they're talking about doing that, they raised it to $4,000 a couple of years, 718 again. They're talking about raising it to $7,000, so that's another $3,000 on those eligible for military exemption. And again, that's going to be, taken, I guess, in by the county, absorbed by the county, or counties statewide, levy authorities. So, yeah,
That's a good point. We'll even want to proceed with this.
Well, that's why I asked too, I was just curious what our total dollar amount of revenue that we are
That is,
not collecting because of an abatement, and if we look further down the road of what exemptions could be hitting us.
Well. Homework.
yeah. So do you want us to go ahead and do that?
See what we can find out.
Okay. What's the timeline on that?
Oh, if we don't have to have this done until January 1st.
Oh, good. So.
We got some
Not
time.
next week then.
No.
That's good to know.
But I think it would be good information for us to decide.
Before we make a decision.
Now, are you looking, you want countywide, or do you want to include the cities in those areas, or
What
just
affects
county?
our budget,
Your budget.
unincorporated.
Okay.
But, ultimately, it really depends on how many new structures are being built.
Well, now, if you say that, but keep in mind, all urban pays county tax as well.
Oh, that's true. But we don't abate those.
You don't. However, that does
The
affect
city's
you.
It's
abated.
less than our Crawford.
Yeah, that's less than from which you have to levy against for the general basic. There's general basic that everybody pays.
General basic, everybody pays.
Well, it'd be good to know both. But for like us deciding on an abatement, what directly affects.
Right, I got
Because we
you.
couldn't do anything about it. We didn't think city
Okay.
should, there's not.
No, but again, that gives you an idea as far as what, the value we're talking about.
I don't think that any of the other smaller towns have abatements. Well, Manila.
Manila does.
Yeah, Manila does.
Dow City does.
They actually even
They
have a
do?
water abatement. There's a older water thing,
Well,
so they'll get you to water your yard.
we got Martha patiently waiting for us.
Oh,
here.
yep.
I apologize.
Thank you.
No problem.
Always good information.
So don't let me forget though, we gotta come back to
Yeah.
the Mike Wingrove appointment, but we'll get Martha out of the way here quick.
Yep.
Thank you for patiently waiting.
Oh, no, I was able to get other work done, so.
Good. Nice quiet place to do some work, huh?
Yes. Okay, so I asked to be put on the agenda for the All Rise Conference. The All Rise Conference is an annual nationwide conference.
Is that the
And
Alabama one?
no.
No.
So what All Rise addresses is, excuse me, substance use training and treatment for providers. The focus where I have heard about it is through treatment court. Since 2014, we've had treatment courts in Crawford County, and then during COVID, they shut down. And so we have restarted the juvenile treatment court, and Crawford County was unique because our treatment courts for the parents and then for the juveniles were never part of the state network of drug treatment courts. We are now, Crawford County, our juvenile treatment court, we are one of less than 5 juvenile treatment courts in the state of Iowa, and we are being brought into the state program. And so part of our juvenile treatment court involves Nate Deasy, our juvenile court officer. And in previous years, juvenile court services would send a number of juvenile court officers to the All Rise training. And our juvenile court judge who conducts the treatment court here in Crawford County, she does infusion courts, I think in 2 other counties. She is able to attend every year and keeps telling us year after year, oh, you need to go, you need to go. And it always has been when Nate Deasy, who is the boys soccer coach during soccer playoffs. So Nate has never been able to go. My schedule has never been able to work out. But this year they changed it to a July time rather than a May time. And so we had our first meeting with the statewide drug treatment court coordinator came to our treatment court in February, and he had suggested that with the cuts to juvenile court services, that there were a number of counties looking at using opioid funds to be able to train providers, juvenile court officers, people of that nature. I don't think my schedule is going to work out to attend this year. I haven't told Judge Phillips yet, but I'll get around to that. So what I am looking at is All Rise for 3 people, Nate Deasy as our juvenile court officer, and then we have 2 substance use providers, Casey Schulte and Tracy Delisle. She's with Plains area. They're also mental health providers, but they specifically provide substance use services to juveniles and adults, but our focus is always treatment court with juveniles. And it works into the opioid funding with that treatment, prevention, recovery. And so because All Rise is, I know they've had their 25th anniversary. I don't think they've had 30 years of these All Rise conferences. It's their registration opened in on March 10th. They sell out of their multi-hotel housing within the first 10 minutes of registration. So we knew that wasn't going to be on the table. But Judge Phillips, when she has attended where she has stayed at the reserved hotels and stayed separate. She said, staying separate, while it's a minor inconvenience, it's still very much worth the training. So what I'm looking at for 3 people to go would be around $6,000. And so I wanted to talk to the board first, because if the board is not willing to commit opioid funds, then I don't need either of these 3 professionals to start looking at their calendars. If the board is willing to look at it, then I can turn to them and say, okay, are you able to attend? Can you commit to this? Because while the total would be right around that $6,000 mark, it may only turn out that 1 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 3 could actually attend. Every year it rotates between East Coast and West Coast. So this year it is in Nashville. Judge Phillips has attended twice in California and once in Florida. And so this is the type of information and training that is needed and that we directly benefit from. Since restarting our juvenile drug court, we've had about 30 juveniles go through. Not everybody graduates because some of them we have to excuse early. But when Richard Gordon, who is the state treatment court coordinator, contacted us after the follow-up from his visit, he sent along an article about marijuana usage in teenagers, which we know marijuana vapes, there's a huge problem, especially with our high schoolers and middle schoolers, that while teenagers maybe.
Marijuana vapes for our middle schoolers too?
Oh, yes. Not new, but prevalent. Whilst a lot of these teenagers may be using marijuana to look at symptoms of anxiety, depression, I wouldn't say boredom is a symptom, but it can be used for that. Marijuana usage, we now have research that juveniles who use marijuana have a 2 times higher likely risk of developing psychotic disorders or bipolar disorders, a 34% higher risk of developing depressive disorders, and a 24% higher risk of developing anxiety disorders. So you take someone who may have symptoms of depression or anxiety, and you immediately start catapulting them into disorders that we know, especially in a rural setting, are either untreated or undertreated, and our mental health system isn't going to magically fix itself. So while I am coming for this ask from the juvenile treatment court perspective, ultimately by benefiting Nate, Tracy, and Casey, you're actually benefiting a much, much wider population of Crawford County. But like I said, I don't want them to look at their very busy schedules unless this is something that the
How
board.
long is the training then? Is it a week long that they're there, or 3 days?
It is from the 20th to the 24th, and it's 8 a.m. to 4:30 every single day. So, and they have multiple tracks each time. So they have adult-based with all the different treatment courts. So usually Iowa has, I think, 1 or 2 veterans treatment courts. So they've got classes and trainings on everything for the various different tracks. So you usually just pick which ones you're going to, but.
And I believe we have approximately 40,000 left in our open road.
I'm not sure.
We only designate half to.
2 down to your outfit.
Manning.
And I know we're using a little bit of it for our space up there, just to have that along a little bit.
I'm not against it.
No,
Me neither.
to me, certainly it's what those funds were originally given to our county for, and it seems to fit the mission perfectly to get that education and prevention in here. When we first got the funds, we were begging people to please use these funds to help the problem that we have in Crawford County.
Yes.
So I would be 100% in favor of seeing if we at least get one. But the more people we have trained, the more services we can and try to stop
We
this.
submit a bill to the state to get reimbursed for Nate's money from their OPEB funds.
They're sitting on a lot more.
Well,
You said you can't go?
Schedule wise, no, for this year.
If one of the other 3 can't, do you think it would all be beneficial to ask Louise if there's a VA substance use part of it?
There definitely is that training component. If she would be interested, definitely. It's not specific. You don't have to be part of an active treatment court to go to this.
Well, I think the first thing is to see if they can go. And I think you're doing the right thing by kind of seeing if we can do that. And if we have funds available, I'm sure we do.
I'm sure we do.
I would love to see it used for prevention.
Yeah.
Especially for the juvenile.
Yeah.
Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
100%.
For sure. I did a statistical analysis of our pre-COVID juvenile treatment court of if a juvenile can graduate, how many juveniles do we have going in, what's our graduation rate, and then what kind of recidivism do we have? And we were right over 50% of having a success rate, which I am told is very high for treatment court. So we know by having this individual one-on-one time with the judge, we have the school present, Nate, myself, we have our juvenile probation tracking, we have our treatment providers with substance use and mental health. We have all these professionals gathering twice a month for these one-on-one times with these kids. So we know that not all of them are going to graduate because kids make poor choices.
Sure, yeah, they're kids.
Yes, but we know that for so many of them, their use is a lot of times there's home environment issues, there's unaddressed mental health issues. But if we can somehow either slow the tide or redirect them at that point, that's only going to save society dollars in the future.
You got it. Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
How do they get referred to juvenile drug court? Have they been in trouble, or is it something that maybe their parents just think they want to give them help, or
sure,
they have to be in trouble?
Yes, they have to be at a certain level of trouble. So when law enforcement writes a ticket to a juvenile, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if it's above a simple misdemeanor, that goes to Nate Deasy. He then decides, is this something that I want to work on an informal probation, or do I want to request a petition? And it's when there's a petition requested and there's right now, we have a number of kids with alcohol issues in treatment court.
Oh my goodness.
But usually, oh my goodness, yes, exceedingly poor choices. But yes, and we always have the perennial, we have a young man right now who's doing really well, but as he told us, there isn't a substance he hasn't tried, which is frightening on its own. But yeah, so usually you have to have it at that point. I would have to say though, for parents, if there's been issues with substance use, the child is usually committing a number of other crimes to help support that habit. And a lot of times you have parents who are, for a variety of reasons, and sometimes, very deeply held reasons, not reporting that child. So while that child may benefit greatly from treatment court, the parent has to be willing to have them get in trouble first.
Really?
Does it cost the parents money if the kids go through this treatment?
Oh, no. Nope. So the school donates their time. Nate and I, this is part of our jobs, Plains area, and then Casey's agency, they allow them to participate. So
So a child couldn't participate unless their parent approves?
No, they have to have a charge filed against them. So they may have, let's say they were charged with possession of marijuana. If Nate sends the petition to me and I file it, then yes, we would ask the court, hey court, this child needs to be in treatment court. We've had others, whether it's like a theft situation or assault situation, like, oh yeah, that's substance driven, and then Nate will make the referrals and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, I guess, being as it is a take action, I think we could, maybe entertain a motion to approve up to $6,000 for 3 people of opioid funds for those 3 people to attend this conference.
I'd make that motion.
I'd second that. And I'd love to have them come back and tell us how successful it all was.
Yeah.
Yes, Tracy herself is, before I interrupt someone giving a second, Tracy herself was recently trained in moral recognition therapy. That's really great for recidivism. She's only one of like 50,000 therapists trained nationwide. Wow. So if we can add some dimensions to what she can provide here in the community, That would be really great.
Awesome. We did get a second, so we're good.
Great.
We got a motion and a second, so we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks for
everyone.
this, appreciate it.
Yes.
We're always
Not a
looking
problem.
for good places to spend. that that'll help.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there's a long-standing joke in our office. I have made, the cakes for our treatment court graduates. And Colin always takes credit for it. So it's always the, hey, Colin, how's your cake?
Thank you, Martha.
He gets his cake and gets to eat it too, huh?
Pretty much.
We'll hop back to appointment of Mike Wingrove for Willow Township trustee. That was in the packet, was submitted by their
So moved.
Support.
motion.
We'll have to show up
Second.
for meeting for one.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
That was the other talk at.
we already signed that, so
Who did the motion?
Township.
Sorry.
Dave,
That's what I had.
Crawford. Oh,
Don't get it mixed
we're up
up.
to citizens input. You came just in time.
Ooh. All right.
We approved,
I figured you did.
Yep.
I'm just gonna talk to you separately for.
okay. Yep, sounds good. So anybody have anything for citizens input on Zoom? Anybody else, you have anything? You have anything? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll put them in the packet so we don't lose them.
Yes, yes.
We are adjourned. Perfect.